Hi, everybody. Welcome to FNS Wrestling Podcast, episode 148. We are back down in the basement to talk about another week of professional wrestling. And this week, unlike last week, we are not abandoning a gorgeous sunny day to come down here. It is
opposite,
miserable and rainy. Like
it is.
It was last night. I got to bike home in the rain. That was a thrill. It's actually raining pretty significantly.
When did you bike home in the rain?
At like 12:30 when you were passed out in the toy room already.
Oh, you biked back. Okay, no.
You were upstairs asleep. I guess we shouldn't call it the toy room anymore. So you guys aren't little kids playing with toys. But that room upstairs that you video game in, you had fallen asleep when I got home. But yeah, so I don't know what's new and exciting with us. We bought tickets for another independent wrestling show, I guess, eh? Mm-hmm. So it's, what is Santino's thing called? Battle Arts?
Yes.
So we'd been to a Battle Arts show in Mississauga before, right? It was an Impact show at his facility.
Which would make a lot more sense now that he's on TV. But...
So the irony is, when he wasn't part of their company, they held a show at his place. And now that he is part of the company, so I guess another affiliate of another location of his Battle Arts training facility has opened about 40 minutes from us. And a guy I work with had told me, hey, I know you and your son like wrestling. Have you heard of this one? And I hadn't. So he told me he'd let me know. And he saw in the town that he lives in that they had put flyers up. So he sent a picture to your mother. And right away basically went online and checked it out and decided we'd try it. Like we like indie shows, right? Yeah. So we usually go to GCW, not that GCW.
Not that one.
Great Canadian.
I think we missed that one.
Great Canadian wrestling. But so this, what did I say it was? HWE, I think.
I don't even remember.
Hamilton Wrestling Entertainment, which is funny because Hamilton is like 2 hours away from where this venue is. But yeah, we're going to check it out.
Maybe they're touring elsewhere. It's their national tour.
I guess so. And that's
provincial tour.
Right. So we're going to that next Friday night, right? So we'll probably have something to discuss from that. And looking online, their women's champion is Serena Deeb.
That is interesting.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't know if she'll be there. I haven't seen any card for the show, actually.
I haven't seen her, period.
No, she's disappeared.
She's dead.
And I was going to say that, but I hesitate to say that because we've killed people with those jokes in the past. So, R.I.P. Brody Lee. That was partially my fault, apparently, I think, right?
For sure.
And who did I say? Oh, the tag team champions were the Bollywood Boys, right? So at least they get some talent, some decent name talent through that
former
federation.
24/7 champions there.
That's right. Through former victims of Randy Orton. That's how I'll always remember them. He just destroyed them.
Yeah, I remember the one time because he always did like that backdrop thing on the table, and the one time he like dropped one too high
and he made the face. But
then there was, and I think it was the same one who he fell off the Punjabi prison and went through a table. Like they took some
major beatings. Have you heard lots of the speculation?
They deserve some credit for that.
Have you heard the speculation that Orton's not going to come back? That he's retired.
Oh well.
From a few different places. I don't know if I believe. Yeah, I don't miss him. Like he's whatever.
Not to be mean, but like
he's Hall of Famer and all that stuff.
Have I noticed? No, me
either. I have not noticed.
And it's not like Riddle has floundered since then. I mean,
no.
I think he's like doing just
honestly
fine.
Forgot about RK Bro. It's been that long.
Like it was good, but
it was.
I don't really care. And we had the bloodline to keep me entertained.
Yeah,
so
I don't miss
I'm
Orton.
Good.
He's I've seen everything I need to see from him, right? Because he doesn't really have a lot of variety in his character. So if you
and even if he has, his peak has long since passed.
I agree, but I don't know. Anything else you wanted to discuss this week?
That's weird. That's like a news thing that you just
worked it in there, right?
Yeah,
for banter.
Yeah,
because I don't know. It just came to me.
You could have put that in your news if you.
I could have.
If you were scrambling.
And it was kind of even there last week.
I've been seeing it around. I just didn't care enough to actually put it in my news. It's like that's been kind of going on for a little while. I feel like.
It has, for sure. There's been like various people coming out with their opinions on whether Randy Orton's going to...
Yeah, and everyone's like, heartbroken about it. I'm like...
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I've just been watching a lot of NBA playoffs. We're down to conference finals now. My favorite of the group left, actually in the whole playoffs, is Denver. So they're up 2-0. And then Miami, who just squeaked into the playoffs, beat Boston again last night. So they're up 2-0 after. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I know you have lots of thoughts on the NBA. Go ahead. Give me all your thoughts on the NBA.
That's neat.
Yeah, that's about all you know.
Very neat.
And then, I don't know, nothing exciting happened at school for you this week. The fire alarms have stopped. We did have, you had an ambulance come the one day.
Did we not get any this week, though?
I don't think there was any this week.
Wow, that's good.
But there was a 911 call, apparently. And
maybe the anti-vaping presentation in the library is really doing its job.
Really changed lives.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
It's funny. I was watching like a video guy talking about like, I think think he was like watching old. You ever seen like the Dare program?
Oh yeah, that was when I was a kid.
That was like
Dare to say no to
bad
drugs.
that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like talking. He was like reacting to, like videos of like that and like how bad that was. So I thought that was kind of funny. It's actually a good time, and I was watching that this week.
I saw someone talk about it too, and it was pretty true. It was basically like we were these little kids who knew nothing about drugs, and then all these people came in and went, "This drug does this," and like they were basically
it's like
we went from knowing nothing to them just telling us, and
it was actually like proven to increase.
Yeah, because we weren't even aware of a lot of these things, and then and it's not like we needed. It's not like we needed to be because they weren't really in our community. Growing up in a rural community in southern Ontario with like 3,000 people, I'm pretty sure I didn't need to worry about like crack and heroin and stuff. Yeah. But I don't know, maybe times have changed.
And that like then I watched like another video that I watched a while before, but like the one guy I watched, he was reacting to like Reddit confessions.
Yeah.
So it's like there's like a subreddit and people like just like confess weird stuff they done. And
I've
so one of them was I think someone had a Dare program come to their school, and like they had to like they wrote a whole thing about like anti-drug whatever, but they were like already like on drugs stuff. So it was like, and they like went to like presented like across like wherever. So I thought that was kind of funny too.
Well, high.
Yeah.
Maybe, who knows? Or
like they're already well into like doing stuff that they're talking about not doing.
Yeah.
Right. So
it's a long weekend here in Ontario as well. It is what, Victoria Day weekend? I don't know if it's a long weekend in the States or not. So we get Monday off as a holiday.
Yeah, why it's a thing. I don't need it to be explained. I don't actually care.
And your grandparents, my parents, are coming up tomorrow.
I'm also working.
But you work, so you'll only see them for a little bit.
Monday at 2.
And then your brothers, big news for our podcast, not that any listeners will notice, is your brother's basketball schedule has changed permanently, which is very nice for me. So instead of we generally record this podcast on Saturdays.
I was confused what you were going for a second.
We generally record this on Saturdays, and he's had Saturday practice from 10 to 12, which has kind of made it difficult to us to maneuver. But due to venue change, he's now Sunday at 6 to 8 at night, so frees up Saturdays for me and for us to do this. And we're going old school. We've got our booster juice is going to be delivered to us by your mom shortly. I'm trying a new one, some mocha one.
I was going to, and then I was just like, I didn't feel like looking at the app.
So I don't know what the monthly one. So you're going pineapple freeze again?
Yeah, I like that one because it's like it's a fruity one.
Discussing our beverages like the first.
I'm waiting for them to. I was hoping because it was nice yesterday they would have changed it, but I'm hoping they bring back that watermelon one because it was there last summer and the summer before that. So. Yeah.
You enjoyed that.
I love that one.
It feels like a summery one.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping they bring that back.
It'll come
as long as it's seasonal. That's good enough.
And just thinking about before we get into it, I don't think there's anything special on this week's show, right? We're basically
next week we got Double or Nothing, Battleground, and Blood Money.
Do we need to preview any of those today?
No, that's all next weekend. So I can do that all next week.
All Sundays because we record Saturday, right? So
I think the Saudi one's Saturday.
Yeah.
And then the NXT one and AEW are on Sunday.
So we'll be able to preview all of those on 149.
And I think I would actually. I've been telling you I want to actually watch some of the Saudi one. Just because, like,
and we try to avoid the Saudi shows.
Yeah, but the tag title match, like, not to get too much into the next week, but like the tag title match looks awesome because obviously Bloodline stuff. Brock Cody could be interesting, but although that's the least interesting of the three I want to see, and then particularly I want to see Rollins win the belt.
I'm sure you do.
Which is
isn't he off filming movies or something? I don't know if that's
he's in
news,
Captain America 4.
How excited are you?
That's cool. He's like I think he's a side guy because he's part of the Serpent Society. So
yeah.
But that's still kind of cool. That just kind of came out of nowhere. But I've heard they're kind of hesitant on him now because of that. They don't want another John Cena kind of thing.
Sure.
But I don't think that would happen.
I feel like it'll be more like a Sasha Banks, where it's like occasional little part in this
I don't
universe,
see it
but
as
nothing
something
crazy.
like that, right?
Yeah.
It's like Roman Reigns had a part in the Fast and Furious spinoff that Rock was in.
Exactly.
And
nothing really came of that.
Not another peep from him since. Right? So, I don't know. That should be cool. And then also developments in AEW that we'll get to.
Yeah, but I say we get to that stuff. So let's move into our first segment every week where we take a look at some of the week's wrestling news and rumors. Okay, ratings this week. You've got NXT averaging 564,000 viewers, which is down 6.2%, and earned a 0.14 in the key demo, down pretty significantly at 17.7%. But again, they are going up against NBA playoffs, which is now in the Western Conference Finals. So probably even more people watching that than earlier rounds. And it was directly head-to-head with that this week. And then this week's episode of AEW Dynamite averaged 814,000 viewers, down 7.2%, earned a 0.28 in the key demo, down 12.5%, also up against NBA Conference Finals. But for them, it was the Eastern Conference between Boston and Miami. So stiff competition. Feels like Dynamite is a long ways away from consistently being around 1 million viewers, right? And then I think we used to sort of say NXT's kind of good number was 700,000, which
because they're not clocking a milli.
They are not clocking a milli, as you would say.
Yeah, I remember I saw you two guys say that, and it amuses me.
Nice. So
clock a milli on that.
Ratings for both down a little bit. Same competition as usual. NBA playoffs. What do you have for us? I did scramble and find some news. Nothing crazy, but we'll go through it all.
All right, I gotta scroll all the way back up.
Then scroll.
All right. Yeah. So there's some big news this week, right? There's the really big thing this week was that Liv Morgan's injured, and the tag titles are vacated.
Right.
Ooh.
But I mean, it's fine because that division is so deep and stacked with talent, right?
To their credit, though, they have built
a few teams.
They've been trying a little with Raquel and Liv. I mean, I don't really give a crap still, but they've been putting some effort into making that somewhat of a team.
They have, and
now we get Raquel and Shotzi.
Have you heard what they're doing?
What do you mean?
So new champions. I've got because I had this too.
I know they're going to be
crowned in 2 weeks.
Saudi. Yeah.
Did you hear who's involved?
No.
So it's going to be Raquel Rodriguez and a mystery partner.
Shotzi.
Do you already know that for sure?
I'm pretty sure it's Shotzi.
Not so mysterious.
No.
Taking on Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler, Bayley and Io, and Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green in a 4-way match.
Shayna.
Who do you think wins that?
Shayna.
Really?
Well, they were supposed to get the tag titles, and then whatever happened.
I want to say Damage Control, but they're
nah. I think they're teasing the split there.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't. I heard Ronda's getting time off soon, so that's weird too.
And it's Ronda. I don't need her. Don't want her.
I want Baszler to win because this is about as good as she can do, apparently. So
I don't really love any of the teams.
I
don't know.
Baszler.
Doesn't really matter to me. What else do I have here? This is getting into Punk stuff, which I know you love, and I kind of have two. I
love it.
Like the first one I got earlier in the week, and then I've got sort of a second. Is this
related to the show?
Kind of, yes. So
okay, you want me to do that then, and then you piggyback off of that?
Sure, let's do that.
So the real big news would be the announcement of AEW Collision,
right?
Which will debut on June 17th.
The worst kept secret in wrestling.
Yeah, the worst kept secret. 8 p.m. Saturday, so at least it's not another weird slot.
Yes.
Other than the fact that it's on a Saturday, but whatever. Other ones that were mentioned as headliners in the press were Hobbs, Thunder Rosa, Samoa Joe, Andrade, who's been gone. I think he was injured. I
think so. I did see that he's back from injury.
Then the graphics have also shown House of Black, FTR, MJF, and Orange Cassidy. FTR and Samoa Joe are particularly interesting to me because FTR noted friends and supporters of Punk, and Punk wants to work with Samoa Joe upon return. And then I thought Thunder Rosa also intrigues me too because in theory, if this is the show where people who don't want to work with Punk go there, she's the She-Punk, right? You could separate her from Baker and Hayter and whatever, right? Like, I'm not sure, but that's kind of what I thought. You know,
it isn't out of the realm of possibility.
Right? It seems like a similar kind of situation. It's not as bad.
It does. So, and then earlier in the week, I had one story saying that Warner Brothers Discovery, or WBD as it seems to be,
as Tony Khan
shortened a lot. They're denying that Punk is affiliated with Collision.
Which makes me happy.
Claiming that he's, quote, not affiliated, despite his name appearing in an email sent by Warner Brothers Discovery to the media. So they included his name in an email and then later said, no. So I don't know.
That's weird.
And yes, it included Punk's name along with Andrade, Thunder Rosa, Miro, and some others. And then...
I forgot to mention Miro.
On Wrestling Observer yesterday, Meltzer reported that Daly's Place has been contacted and that the show was originally intended to take place in Chicago, that being Collision. However, a dispute between CM Punk and AEW has put his return in question, so AEW has sort of made a backup plan and is looking to maybe move the show to Daly's Place instead. So this is not a video podcast. Jack is smiling over here, happy with the prospect of CM Punk not showing back up in AEW.
I'd be very very pleased about that.
So it's hard to say exactly what's going on there.
To say I don't want him to come back is an understatement.
Right. I mean, I don't like him, but he does help the product, I guess, and the company. So,
well, it depends on how you want to define help the product. He does help it from a number standpoint.
He does,
but
and he's capable of good matches and promos and
yeah.
feuds and stuff. He's just not my.
But
favorite
I also
guy.
don't know anyone else who injures themselves jumping into a crowd.
That's true. That's true.
I don't know.
I guess it's your turn.
It is. So I mean, I would say Money in the Bank's one of our more anticipated main roster attractions, right?
It's my big four and not
Granted,
Survivor Series.
They haven't done it justice.
Correct.
Most of the time lately. I would say the last good one was Big E, but Theory was botched.
Oh, poor Big E.
Otis, remember he lost to Miz. And 2019 was Brock Lesnar. Remember he just randomly paraded in the match and screwed Ali?
Right.
Imagine if Ali won that. That would have been cool. Anyways, so this year, so I've seen a thing of who they're considering for this year's match.
Okay.
I think
have
it's
not
pretty
seen
good.
this.
So we have Damian Priest, LA Knight, Bobby Lashley, Matt Riddle, Cody Rhodes, Gunther, Finn Balor, Chad Gable, and Edge. I really like having Gable and Knight in there because I don't think they would win, but that seems like a good spotlight for them.
But it's also
Knight could win.
It's also people that they could debatably at least want to elevate. Like everybody in there is possible.
Personally think Balor is a really good potential winner out of that.
I think if this whole we now love Damian Priest thing, this is an opportunity for that as well, right?
But like,
because is it too early for Cody to be back in the title scene and going after?
I guess Cody could cash in on Roman technically,
right. And finish his story.
I could see it being Balor though, because I know we know Triple H is high on him, right? And in Judgment Day is still pretty hot, like and he could cash in on Rollins for that title down the line. I would love for it to be.
I think heel LA Knight with that briefcase could do
he's
some
also
good stuff
too.
too.
I think like Cody, Balor, and LA Knight are solid picks.
I like that lineup actually.
I think it's really good. Edge is like, I don't love that, but I don't mind him being included either because he's experienced in ladder matches, so it's not even a horrible choice. Like,
I just don't want him to win.
Pretty good line. He wouldn't win. There's no way.
I don't think so.
But I think that is a nice lineup.
Me too. I actually don't mind that at all.
Yeah.
Your boy Bray Wyatt. It sounds bad, but then as I read on it, doesn't sound quite as bad as initially thought. That he is not listed on the company's internal roster. That he is like in what they're calling an unassigned category. That basically he's still employed and getting checks, but they have no plans for him or whatever. But so included in that list as well, which is what makes it feel not so bad, is Tommaso Ciampa, R-Truth, Gable Steveson, and
both of them are injured,
and Logan Paul.
And Logan, that's weird.
So he's active, and I think Ciampa, I'm suspecting he's coming back because
he is.
And they're playing
I think the way it is.
Oh, and the network also is playing best of Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano stuff right now, which seems very conveniently timed, right? So I feel like he's coming back, which is fine by me. So I think
okay.
I think it just means they don't have plans for Bray. That whatever they did have, they've sort of parked it for now with Uncle Howdy Rowdy, whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I think I've soured on this gimmick because
I think, and that takes a lot for you because you were very on board.
The thing with him coming back was because the last thing he did was the Fiend in the Funhouse, and that was an awesome concept, and it was. The first bit of the Funhouse was fantastic.
It feels like his vision got bastardized by other people.
It did because it was layered with like the callbacks and all the Easter eggs, and like it felt like actually complex and like interesting, kind of like the Bloodline story, but then it's like if the Bloodline story got screwed up by Vince and just went to crap, because that's what happened. And like it was always an interesting character, but then they just killed it completely. They burned it. They brought it back.
It was creative and interesting, and then Vince got involved or whoever
and
made it sports entertainment.
So like much. Ever since like it's not been that, I can't say I care as much because like that was honestly the best time for Bray, I think.
And then the icing on the cake for me is his matches aren't fantastic.
He had
either.
One match,
so
which was sponsored.
I don't love the magic and the spookiness, and then not having great matches on top of it. I don't really miss him, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
What do you got?
More Money in the Bankness.
Okay.
Not particularly tied to the ladder match, but Roman Reigns and Solo versus the Usos is being discussed for Money in the Bank.
That'd be fun.
Makes a lot of sense given the storyline trajectory right now, so I think that would be Neato.
That could be shaping up to be a good PLE, not pay-per-view. I almost said, how dare I? But
dare.
that sounds interesting. What else do I have? We talked about the LWO leading in merchandise sales, and they still are, however many weeks later. So it's Bad Bunny and the LWO continue to dominate merchandise sales. And I guess like they're still riding that momentum from Backlash, that match being, I mean, we liked it, but didn't love it as much as some people did. But anyways.
It's a pretty okay match.
So they are number 1 and number 2 spots for merchandise sellers this past week, according to WrestleNomics, which are affiliated with Post Wrestling over there. So, I mean, moving lots of merchandise, which is good because I haven't been watching the product. I don't really know what the Latino World Order is up to, but very successful merch sellers at least, which is a bit surprising to me.
Last one I had was AEW Fight Forever reportedly set to release on June 27th. But no official announcement yet. That's supposed to maybe come within the next week, but.
And that seems to make sense because that's close to a whole bunch of Collision and stuff like.
That'll be right after Forbidden Door.
Right. So when hopefully they're like hot, they're gonna push this video game out.
Kind of like how now WWE releases 2K around Mania.
Exactly.
Which I wish they would go back to releasing in October because it's like you have 23 come out in 22.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's like
right.
That's the like that made way more sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't hate this lot now because it's still a year, whatever. But I don't know. I kind of wish like it was back to the old slot. Yeah. That just made a little more sense to me.
Yep. My last story is Drew McIntyre is reportedly having a bit of a creative issue at this point. So initially he was out with a health issue, right, or injury or something along those lines. But now we've got the Wrestling Observer reporting that it's become more of a creative issue with both sides, and that Fightful is also saying that McIntyre prefers to like he's hands-on. He wants to be involved in his creative process, as most of them do, but only a few of them actually are at the status where they get to, right? So lately they're saying that there's a lack of communication and that there's been several pitches for McIntyre to come back and turn heel, and that
I would love that.
I guess he's sort of pushing back on that unless there's some big change there, right? That he's like, I'm willing to be a heel, but only if there's a really cool story or idea behind it.
I miss Scottish Psychopath and not Scottish Warrior. One of those sounds cool and one of those does not.
Yeah, he works as both fairly well.
Oh, so, yeah. No, I think his original babyface run like in 2020 was good. Just the timing was horrible, of course. But I liked heel Drew like when he came back and was aligned with Ziggler, and then I mean, his heel run also kind of got bogged down by being Shane McMahon's lackey.
Correct. But that doesn't help anyone.
No, but I like him as a heel. I remember he used to hit like the sickest claymores. That used to be my favorite thing. Is like I remember one time it was at the end of that feud with the Shield in 2018 when he and Ziggler were teaming with Strowman. Mm-hmm. They were like the Dogs of War or something.
Yeah, they were.
And they had like a tag match on Raw, like a 6-man, and Strowman got mad at the end, like, and so he power slammed Ziggler, and then like McIntyre had a sweet claymore, but he landed like jumping over Strowman, like he hit it. And he went flying over Strowman too. It just looks sweet in the way he landed after too. And like I remember one time, also then like Strowman was standing there in the ramp and McIntyre would just run down and claymore him.
I vaguely remember that one.
He just would hit sweet claymores. Heel McIntyre was sweet.
Yeah, he's a big asset for them because he's a huge guy that they want, right?
And he's good. He's like, especially for their style, like he's one of the best ones.
And he works as a face and a heel. I don't know, like he's never, I think, like absolutely amazing in either, but he's really good at both. So
yeah, I don't really want him to go anywhere else because I think like he's just kind of perfect in there, WWE.
I agree,
especially now that he's like finally found his thing. Like, no more air guitarring and
he's
stuff
a
like
WWE guy for sure. It feels to me.
And I didn't have it actually in my news, but I just remembered there was the thing about Danielson in creative now, right?
Yeah.
Just to
for Collision, I think, specifically.
I'll find it quick.
Which kind of makes me even more want to watch Collision because I believe in Danielson. And,
here it is.
And by all accounts, if he's involved in creative, he's not...
Yeah, it's for Collision.
He's not doing it just for himself, right? He's involved to actually elevate people and make things make sense, so that could be awesome.
Yeah, you're telling me it's him, Will Washington, Sanjay Dutt, and QT Marshall.
Yeah.
And then, and it says the latter duo are heavy contributors, so I think that's Dutt and Marshall. Then Jerry Lynn, Dean Malenko, and Christopher Daniels all have roles as well, so that's cool.
If it's Danielson and Will Washington sort of heading that up, I'm fairly confident they'll do a good job.
Oh, and
so I'm
Khan,
hoping.
Of course.
Yeah, of course, always. All right, well, I think that wraps up news, yeah?
Tis.
We'll move into our most in-depth review of the week, and that's taking a look at this week's episode of AEW Dynamite. Now that our booster juice has arrived, you should tell me about Dynamite from Wednesday night.
It has. So we start off how I always want to start off, which is with Wardlow coming to say words to my face.
It's funny, my first note says, not my preferred start to the show, where's Arn?
At least he wasn't here. So he says he wants to see Christian follow through with the promises he made last week and calls him out. Christian comes out with Luchasaurus. They were arguing without mics, and then Wardlow's kind of like, he had him in a chokehold, and then Luchasaurus attacked. Christian got clotheslined, and they teased a powerbomb, but Wardlow got low blowed. Luchasaurus grabbed a ladder from under the ring and put it in the corner, and Wardlow got chokeslammed through the ladder, which looked pretty cool.
It did actually look good.
That was a nice bend. And then Christian flattened it out in the middle of the ring and hit a kill switch on there, and then held the title. Therefore, he's not winning.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought too. But even though this was not my preferred start to the show, I actually liked this quite a bit. I liked, like you said, they sort of were arguing without microphones, so they were sort of picking up the dialogue on like the ring mics or whatever, which I like better. It feels more realistic.
Yeah, they did that on SmackDown with Reigns too, right? And I thought that was nice
when they're having like a private conversation, not through the microphones for everybody to hear.
Remember Roman Reigns did that like every match?
Yes.
In Thunderdome?
Oh, he was just talking the whole time.
It was like Jay White, but like even worse.
And this kind of makes sense to me because Christian is like the savvy veteran heel who's one step ahead, and like, it's like Wardlow's kind of the young hothead, right? And he's reacting the way Christian wants him to do, and it's like the numbers game catches up with them. So it's just Christian's one step ahead, right, of this kid, which I think makes a lot of sense. And I like that he's got his silent muscle in Luchasaurus with him. And I thought the use of the ladder in the beatdown made it look extra vicious. So I actually liked this segment way more than I thought I would, and didn't mind it starting the show at all, to be honest.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I don't know why this needed to start the show, because it feels like a perfectly fine mid-show segment. Like, it doesn't feel like something that desperately needed to be at the top. Christian's solid, but I still don't care about Wardlow. That being said, I really like the ladder spot. It
looks
cool.
Good. Yep.
We then our opener kind of ish.
Yeah, first match anyways.
Cassidy and Darby Allin versus Lee Moriarty and Large William.
Felt random to me. I was wondering where this came from.
And I know that they've been putting Cassidy and Darby Allin on a lot of the house shows.
Okay.
So I feel like this is just them putting that on
Someone
TV.
on commentary did mention that they've been pairing up at house shows. Probably Excalibur, I think. I don't know. Somebody mentioned it.
He seems to know things.
He does know things, yeah.
Morrissey he got Darby in like a two-handed chokeslam kind of thing. He was just, and then he just spun him around.
Yeah.
And then he dropped him. That was really funny. And you're literally saying Darby can make him look good, and then he just did that.
Yeah, just was saying like, oh, Big Bill's gonna love working with Darby, and he just launched him basically.
And that was really funny. Darby made the tag, but the ref missed it, and he sent back to the apron after Cassidy was the face in peril for a while.
And I was like, that's a classic spot we don't see very often anymore. Like the babyface tag doesn't get noticed by the ref, right?
Yeah, it's used pretty sparingly.
It is.
Cassidy shoves Moriarty into Morrissey, and Darby Allin makes a hot tag, gets a flurry in.
Looked great, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
He looked really good there.
Tilt-a-whirl DT from Cassidy on Morrissey. Moriarty he locks in a shoulder capture crossface, or a Gargano escape, if you want to call it that. On Cassidy, he counters eventually into a pin for 2. Cassidy and Darby double team, did a superplex to Moriarty.
Yeah, you were calling for the Tower of Doom, and they didn't give it to you.
Which is weird. It looked like a prime, especially with how big Morrissey is.
Yeah, with Bill actually being believable to throw three guys at once. Yeah,
that makes way more sense, but
did not happen.
I guess. Cassidy hit Morrissey with the Stomach Millionaire, and Darby followed with the Code Red, which looked kind of cool on Morrissey.
It actually did look good, I thought, too.
But I hate when it's used as a finisher. That's just like, especially if you're Sky Blue or Roxanne Perez or
it's not a
Selena
very
Vega.
impactful looking.
I think at the very least, Darby Allin does it much better than they do.
I do like that it leads directly into the pinfall, but it's not quite enough impact for me to believe that it's pinning
I think
people.
if anyone's gonna do it, it should be Darby. But even then, I wouldn't want him to do it.
That makes
But
sense.
I just don't think when any like the female people.
How dare you disparage Sky Blue in my house? Okay.
Remember, she has the weird setup for it though.
Yes.
So that's even worse.
I know.
There's a beach break to Moriarty. So then Cassie took out Morrissey, who was on the apron with an orange punch. Then Darby hits Moriarty with a coffin drop. Then he got him up and pinned him with a side headlock takeover.
While like sort of staring down towards, I don't know,
camera,
MJF wasn't there, but like yes, sending a message to MJF, I guess. So yeah, obviously no story and no stakes really behind this, but I quite enjoyed this match. I thought Alan and Cassidy are an interesting team that I guess they've been working on house shows and whatnot. I thought Big Bill played his role really well. We were talking about it like, for me, this is how you use Big Bill. You put him in a tag team as the monster. You can sort of limit his time in the ring. He can come in and dominate for a little bit and not have to do a 15-minute match by himself or whatever. So I thought this is a good role for him. Moriarty got a little bit of time to shine as well. I thought there was really good pace to this, and it got more time and was more competitive than I expected, but I actually thought it was really fun. And the headlock takeover finish is a nice touch by Alan too. So I actually, this over-delivered for me. Obviously would have preferred some sort of story behind it, but I thought the match itself was really fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was solid. It was a fun enough opener. The randomness of it, it's a little off-putting, but the match itself was pretty serviceable, so it's not really worth complaining about. I heard like they were teaming on the house show circuit, so it makes sense they want to put it here because apparently it's a good combo, and I think it did work pretty solid. The movesets work well in tandem, and they're both popular. Morrissey and Moriarty both play their parts well and made for good foils here. I like the finish with the nod to MJF. And in fairness, I think Jungle Boy is a random match with Rouge, and Sammy is a random squash, so I guess all the pillars got random matches this week, like if you want to put it like that. Next, we get Young Bucks getting beat up by Blackpool in the parking lot as they come in, because parking lots it's a plague that's spreading across. It's interpromotional now.
My only note: stay out of wrestling parking lots, people.
It's dangerous.
Very dangerous. I mean,
they did have luggage, so that's how you know Blackpool are heels. They didn't follow the cardinal rule of parking lots.
Belts
or luggage. You can't beat them up.
That's right.
But they did it anyways. Claudio sent Nick on a car, because he's a big, strong boy. Not that guy, though. And Matt gets his injured arm bashed on it by Yuta, and Rock says they'll never win this game. It's just the camera. They are the elite in this business and the only elite in this business.
Foreshadow, right? So looking back, that's a nice little tease there. BCC is a violent faction, more of the same, so I had no problem with this.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was just a little bit, again, making them seem like cool bullies.
Yep.
And I like it.
Me too.
Next, we got to check up on Wardlow.
This is another Renee heavy show. All my notes are Renee was someone. Yeah. Renee was someone.
And she went with Orange Cassidy twice.
Right.
So Arn Anderson comes in. He's mad that he wasn't out there. Arn asks Wardlow what he's prepared to do. Wardlow's going to beat Christian in his own game. Ladder match, double nothing. That's fine. Not the most exciting ladder match that ever exists, but it bolsters this feud a bit, I guess. And so is it bad that I kind of would rather Christian win?
I don't
think he would, but
I agree.
I would rather him win.
So I think, again, part of the reason I like this is that Christian has manipulated Wardlow, A, into a title match, and B, into one of Christian's specialty match stipulations, right? And so Arn, to me, is not doing a good job of mentoring this kid, although I assume the story may be going because the idea was that Arn's there to make Wardlow more aggressive and more willing to get his hands dirty or whatever. So I wonder if he's going to have to do some big sort of violent or
maybe a ladder match is getting his hands dirty.
I guess.
I don't know.
But at the end of the day, again, you've got the savvy veteran Christian has now talked this kid Wardlow into putting up his title in a match that favors Christian. So I kind of like that.
That's
right?
cool. Yeah. When you put it like that.
But I guess Arn is adding nothing since joining Wardlow because he's still falling into Christian's
traps. I could have told you that right when they joined.
Fair enough. So I don't mind the way this is going. Mm-hmm. Again, Wardlow's not my favorite either, but it makes sense.
Next, we get an Orange Cassidy interview. And so Renee is talking about him getting jumped by Kyle Fletcher and how he wants a title shot. And Cassidy says a lot a lot of people want a shot at him, and if they want a shot at him at Double or Nothing, they got to talk to Tony Khan, and he'll fight them all. Obviously, I smell some sort of multi-man brewing.
Yes.
Should be fun, I hope.
Yeah, it's again this story of he'll fight anyone anytime that's really working for him, right? And he's one of the MVPs of this company right now, I would suggest, to be honest, especially on the babyface side. So it's this story like of him constantly picking up new injuries or whatever every week, but continuing to fight. Really simple story, but I think it's really effective. And I did see something, I didn't put it in news, that Fletcher is like battling an illness, and maybe they've put a pin in him sort of coming
He's
in there.
facing Cassidy next week.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Okay, so then he'll be back. But yeah, this fits Cassidy's really simple but effective story that he keeps fighting, he keeps battling more and more injuries, and he keeps winning. So I think this is working really well.
And so then Fletcher next week means he's not in the multi-man, which is, I was wondering if he would be in that, but I guess he'll get his own shot, and then Kyle Fletcher will defend the title at Double or Nothing.
I'm interested in seeing Fletcher as a single, to be honest. I think he's cool.
I mean, I want to see that, but I also don't care because I like Aussie Open.
I love Aussie Open.
Yeah,
They're like they're one of my favorite tag teams.
Fantastic.
They are.
Next week, it's Sammy Guevara versus Exodus Prime.
No, new name, bud.
This should have been Transformers sponsored.
I like to be supportive of people and not question their choices, but Exodus Prime as a name does not work for me.
No.
I don't know. It's strange.
Knee strike DTH match over.
Yep.
If this is his prime, then I don't want to see what's him in a bad year.
Exodus less than Prime is.
Yeah. Oh, he should work with Logan Paul. Prime.
Yes.
Ha.
Oh, right. I see what you did there. The Prime reference.
So then Sammy Guevara talks after he says how he remembers wrestling the indies up and down Texas because they're in Texas. Babyface move. All of it brought him here and made him who he is today. Another babyface line. He's made a lot of mistakes, but takes a few wrong turns to get to the right place sometimes. Babyface line again.
100%.
That right place is Las Vegas, Double or Nothing. He listens to his heart. Babyface, which tells him he will be the new AEW World Champion. Babyface.
Yeah, so like it used to be like, oh, he's leaning into it, but he is a babyface now, I guess. Like he's not part of Jazz. Like it's going to be interesting to see what they do after this.
They have to be working something here.
Because I think he's actually kind of effective as a babyface. And
he was, and then it fizzled out, and then they did a crappy thing with Ty Mello.
And I think that's the key, is he has to be not on TV with his wife, unfortunately, because as soon as she's there, people hate them. For whatever reason, I don't know.
It was because of the whole Pam thing.
Yeah, but I think this is working for him. Like, he's kind of working as a babyface.
I liked it. I thought it sounded really good, but it was just incredibly babyface. And, like...
It is.
There has to be some sort of, like... I feel like there has to be some sort of angle here, because it's like...
I do too.
Such a weird, random turn. There has to be something else here.
And it's every week now.
Is he trying to, like, coerce
maybe
them? And, like, I don't know.
But it feels like he's just straight up a babyface, right? So I don't know. I guess I don't know why. That's part of what's interesting here. I still like the whole Pillars thing. So, yeah, I thought this was fine.
Next, we get a quick 4 Pillars promo package. Excalibur was recapping all their history since the beginning of AEW, how they're all connected. And then we got sound bites from previous segments as it closes out.
Super pillar heavy show.
Yeah, this was solid.
Which I don't care.
I thought this it was really good because it may be helpful for people who have forgotten or haven't watched since the beginning and need to understand this. And to me, it helps to highlight what's so cool about this match because it's easy to put 4 talented guys in a 4-way and have a great match. But the history and the fact that this is the future AEW's building makes the match cooler, right? So I like them kind of highlighting that, and then it's helpful for anyone who needs to
anyone
know.
new, right? Because you're always hopeful you picked up new viewers, so you may as well spend whatever this was, 60 seconds on filling them in.
Like the Moxley Omega package the other week. That's helpful for anyone who needs to know.
Yeah, I thought this was cool as well.
Next we get Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal again.
We have to.
So they walk out. And Lethal begins to speak, but then FDR just pushed Satnam singing off the stage through some tables, so that was kind of funny.
Because I guess you got to get rid of him, right?
Yeah.
So that's the way to do it.
And then there was a brawl. Cash beats Jarrett with a chair. Meanwhile, Dax thinks he's facing Lethal in a tuxedo match.
Oh, I said an evening gown match. It's Dax rips off Lethal's clothes.
That's for the women, okay?
And
this is a tuxedo.
It's 2023, okay? Anyone can wear an evening gown if they want to.
They should have a hardcore evening gown match.
Exactly.
Yeah. Lethal gets taken out after look for a smash contraption on Jarrett, but oh my god, it's Karen Jarrett.
Sorry, what year is it again? 2023.
Oh, my bad.
Although
my
I will
mistake.
say, when she showed up in, what was it, Impact, I thought she was a super good heel character, honestly. She was very, like, the crowd, it was easy to hate her. I thought she did a really good job, because for me, she came out of nowhere as a non-wrestling personality, and I thought she did a really good job. That being said, do I have interest in her in 2023 with Jeff Jarrett? No, not at all.
No. I've seen like people saying like Jeff Jarrett's been a big success since he's come out. Like I disagree.
I think people like it. I don't know. I think we're just not like nostalgia chip. I don't really have that. Like I don't want to see people I watched 25 years ago.
I would, but like it's different. Like a Shield reunion, that would hit me nostalgia because like that would be awesome. But they're also, guess what? They're not old,
and they're still prime. They're
not still
prime.
They're not old, right? I don't want like
and like if Jeff Jarrett showed up at the indie show we're at on Friday, I'd be like, that's really cool. But watching him on national TV week after week is not what I want. That's all.
I don't like a cameo is fine,
right?
But like Savio Vega, he's not coming back for another run.
No, like how dare you?
But like he's probably he looks older than Jarrett. I don't know.
I don't know.
But I think that might just because Jarrett's in better shape.
It might be.
Like I don't.
Well, now I want to know.
I don't know. Now I want to.
Savio Vega is 58 years old, and what did we say about Jeff Jarrett? I forget. I know I've looked it up before.
Like I think he's 50s.
I think he's younger. I think he's early 50s. He's 55.
Okay, so not that close. Much. Okay.
And Billy Gunn is 59.
He's older than both of them.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Billy Gunn's pretty good.
Karen Jarrett is 50. Jericho's 52.
Jericho's 52?
Correct.
Wow. Jericho's old.
Jericho is old.
Billy Gunn, like, I mean, I don't love him, but for pushing 60, he's definitely looking better than Sting is.
Like, Jericho was born in 1970.
Oh.
Interesting.
Oh, so yeah, you're 7 years younger.
Yeah. Okay. I am 7 years younger
than Christopher Jericho.
That's correct. Sorry, we digressed there as we tend to do sometimes.
So then, Kieran Jarrett low blowed Cash, and then Dax got hit with a stroke. He didn't have a stroke. Jeff Jarrett hit him with a stroke. Just the Dax is fine. He did not. Just to clarify.
Right.
Singh comes back in and hits FDR with the double choke slam. Then FDR get hit with stereo guitar shots on Lethal and Jarrett. So this is fine. I still don't care about this feud. I didn't love this because it didn't feel like it. Like, as much as I don't like the feud, this didn't feel like it moved anything along either. And with Mark Briscoe being such a supposedly integral part of this, boy, was he absent. Like, he's literally the guest referee for their match, and he was just absent.
I didn't even think of that in the moment. But you're right.
And also, they had guitars labeled for Dax and Cash. They used them on the opposite guy.
They did.
So, dumb heels exist, too.
Again, I wouldn't have noticed, but you being the detail man, you definitely did.
I'm almost positive they used it wrong. I noticed, because, like, they're like, They made a point. It was like at War Games when McAfee and his crew had tables for each of those video, but I'm pretty sure they did the right people unless the heels got put through, but they did it wrong here. Dax trying to strip Lethal was amusing, but the rest of this didn't feel all that important to me at all.
No, I'm not a fan of Jarrett, and I don't need to see his wife either at this point, but it kind of felt like a classic pro wrestling segment, so I didn't really mind it, and it ended with some pretty satisfying guitar shots, right? You got the heels standing tall here at the end, which I think further indicates FTR retains here, right? You don't generally have the champions getting dominated in every facet, so I assume this means FTR is going to win. But I didn't mind the segment. It's just kind of an old school, makes sense with Jarrett, I guess. So I thought it was fine. Didn't bother me as much as some stuff Jarrett can do.
Mm-hmm. Next, we get a Darby Allin interview. So
with Renee.
Yeah, Renee was interviewing him and asking if that was a message to MJF. Yes, it was. And he says the match is their biggest in their careers. And Sami comes in and says he respects Darby and he won't lay down for Max. One of them needs to take the title off of that prick. Darby was solid here. He didn't say a whole lot. And then again, Guevara's incredibly babyface.
Yes.
If this is serious, he can't still be a heel.
No.
But then there has to be some sort of angle that just feels so unnatural. There has to be some. He has to be like. There has to be a reason he's doing this because it's so weird if it's just a random turn.
Yes, because we've been given no reason, right? It's just unless it's usually AEW is more detail oriented than just hopefully after 6 weeks of babyface promos, people just forget and assume he's they don't usually do stuff like that, right? So I agree, but I do like this dynamic that it's among the three challengers that it's anybody but MJF, right? Like it's basically like, of course I want it to be me, but if it can't be me, I don't want it to be him. So I kind of like that being added to this, as for
if
sure.
Guevara is working an angle, I don't know what it would be.
I don't either.
That's the funny thing. But like, I feel like there's something up with this.
It seems like it, because when all of this feud is done, what does he do? Right? Like, he has to acknowledge that he was with Jazz, right? He can't just, I don't think, they're not one to just leave loose ends there and assume all our fans are stupid and they'll just forget. Like, they don't do that generally. So there must be something in the works. I agree. I guess we'll find out.
Next we got Baker and Cheetah versus Storm and Soho. It was supposed to be a 6-woman tag, but Hayter's injured, so her and Saraya are taken out of the equation.
I love Hayter, but if that means I don't have to watch Saraya, that's a reasonable trade-off, I guess, right?
And Cheetah's fine.
And the crowd was very into this match, and I this is where I kind of noted they've been pretty good all night, but very much into this match too, which helps.
Cheetah suplexed Soho in the turnbuckles, and Storm was seated in the corner, so she took a hit too. Storm hit a hip attack to knock Baker off the apron. Cheetah got a hot tag flurry. There's a jumping knee strike to Soho for 2. Riot kick from Soho to Baker. Baker counter storms into an air raid crash, and she hit a curb stomp. Then the finish came when Saraya distracted the ref and slips Storm a spray paint can. She sprays Baker in the face and hits a Storm Zero for the win. That's the perfect combo there, because she spray painted fast, and how fast she does the Storm Zeros, you can easily get that in behind the ref's back.
And it's something about that the Storm Zero being hit so quick makes it so much cooler than a normal pile driver where you set up and stand and because she just hits it really suddenly.
Right, you have no time to think about it.
Yeah, I thought there was solid action in this. I don't think it was bad, but it's just not feeling fresh, right? It just feels like I know you've added Sheeta in, so it's super different now, I guess. But it's the same people in the same combinations doing the same sort of stuff. But I do think this match was actually pretty good. It's just the story, it just continues, and it's not super interesting to me, and it's kind of absorbing all of the women that I enjoy in this company, right? That are around, at least. And it's just, they're just doing this every week, and it doesn't really seem to be going anywhere. So match was fine. Everything around it, don't really care still.
Yeah, I agree. I thought the match was fine. It felt like a standard women's tag, which once again fell a little short. Felt like a typical Outcast match as well. They get another cheap win. It was okay, but didn't really do anybody any favors. It made little to no difference in the unfortunately still ongoing feud.
This is the only thing going on in the women's division, right? This, and Jade keeps winning, and that's it. That's all the time and energy they have for the women's division, which is too bad. I don't know exactly what I would do differently, but I would do something differently. I'll say that.
Next we got another Orange Cassidy interview with Renee again. She tells them that 20 people went in to talk to Tony Khan for a title shot. At least they're keeping track. And Cassidy
what a
says
nice round number.
Yeah,
eh?
He'll take them all. And since it's him and 20 guys, which makes it 21 at Double or Nothing, and then Vegas, he suggests the Blackpool. God damn it, Blackjack Battle Royal for the international title. I think that's a solid route to go. I wonder if we'll still get. I don't think we'll get a Casino Royale, but I wonder if we'd still get a Casino Ladder match, because we typically get that at Double or Nothing, and I would be kind of annoyed if they moved that away. Or if this is the complete multi-man replacement for both. I think this will be a fun match, but I still would like the Casino match. But then there's the Wardlow match. I'm worried we're not getting that.
Yeah,
that kind of sucks.
It feels like we might not. So obviously this scenario is contrived, right? 20 people perfectly went in, but it really, again, fits the storyline that he is just taking on everybody. So now, even though he's not healthy, his hand, his leg, his whatever else, he's going to take on 20 people in a battle royal, which battle royals aren't my favorite, but I assume Cassidy wins here. You?
It depends on who they put in it.
I guess, but
I'd like to see some confirmation in the field to give me a feel out of what the plan is here. I could see him losing it, though. It's been a while, and I feel like this could be
and because it's just too many injuries and too much against them.
I could see him making it to the end, and then
yeah,
that's how Dean Ambrose lost the U.S. title that he held for he's got the longest WWE run, I think.
Yeah.
And he it was after the Shield turned on the Authority, and so Triple H stacked the deck against him. I think he had a match or something, and he defended against the Battle Royal. He made it to the last two, but then Sheamus won it. And so I could see them doing that, and it would work better in this storyline, I think.
And if they've decided that Cassidy is a super valuable babyface, this is also, they could elevate him further, right? And then be he never actually lost in a singles match or whatever. So losing a championship in a battle royal is sort of protecting him, I guess.
And that's not something that you see a lot.
No. So I'm interested. It fits the story he's telling, so I have no problem with it, despite not generally loving battle royals. But I'll give it a chance for sure.
Next, there was the collision announcement from Tony Khan, which we already talked about in the news, but awkward fellow.
He is so awkward. Just standing perfectly motionless, and you were like making sure he was blinking at one point. But yeah, he did his thing, and it's what we knew. Collision is coming.
Mm-hmm. So that's neato. I think Dark is done, right? Like
Dark and Elevation are done.
They are gone.
Yep.
Right? I was just like wondering that. I think that had happened already. Yeah.
I think so. Yes.
Next we get Roddy Strong versus apparently 52-year-old Chris Jericho.
It is 52-year-old Chris Jericho.
Then I'm good for him. If he's 52
Agreed.
and he's looking like that, good for him.
Yep.
Like I would have pegged him at like a late 40s at most.
Yep.
Like all right, good for him.
And late 40s, as we all know, is your prime, right? Come on, support me in my prime.
You're like mid 40s.
True.
So I'd say like
appreciate that.
What like mid 30s is your cap off at your.
Well, they say athletic prime's around like 27ish.
Yeah, so
late 20s,
early 30s or something.
Yeah,
which you definitely are.
I am definitely that.
Shaking my head. So Strong attacks right after the song ends. He goes with some chops and the back and forth running forearms because he's the stamina dude.
And so many chops. I just love Roddy's style. I don't even know, like, he's just one of those guys.
Just needs to be interesting.
Yes, exactly. In ring, he is super awesome. It's just everything else that needs some help sometimes.
That's why I loved him in Undisputed Era, because he could just be heel,
right?
Just kind of work the make card. Like
I wish he was the workhorse of a faction.
I wish he was North American champion longer.
Yeah.
That was A, all the belts was cool. B, I just think he deserves some bigger matches like that.
Yeah.
But so Jericho's jacket was stuck on him for a bit. Then there was some chops exchanged.
A lot of chops.
More chops exchanged. Strong gets clothesline out of the ring. He got up on the apron. Jericho joined there, got dropped on there for a 2 count. Back in the ring. And it is false anywhere, so I don't. That's
and weird. They were trying to explain, like, because
outside the ring, sorry.
They're brawling outside, and then they go back in the ring, and they tried to. The commentary were trying really hard, and they didn't do a bad job of explaining, like, oh, this is smart by Jericho, right? Because this is where he has control and he knows what's going on, and you maybe don't want to go outside the ring, blah blah blah.
Just because you can,
right?
Back in the ring, Strong blocked a codebreaker. Jericho blocked a gutbuster attempt. He locked in the walls. Strong got a rope break. What?
Yeah, that bothered you.
That's
falls
dumb.
Count almost anywhere.
Right, like it's false count anywhere. It's a no DQ match. I don't want to see any rope breaks there. Like that's like having like an Extreme Rules match or like a last man standing match and you get like a that doesn't make sense. But like the rules are different. But like it'd be like having like you have like a death match or something and then you lock in a submission and it's like and like you get a rope break. It'd be funny if like I just thought of it like if Moxley like put Omega in a submission in the exploding match and he gets a rope break, but then like the ropes would explode.
Nice.
Yeah. That sounded funny to me. So they're walking up the steps in the crowd, and Jericho Potts hit Strong with a sign. Strong got back, dropped Jericho throat first on the railing. You remembered the Sasha Banks and Charlotte spot from
I was like, what move was it? Oh yeah, the Banks statement
that
in the
cool,
railing.
Because Charlotte's awesome. Charlotte was like bending back like crazy. Jericho. Wait, so no, not there. So they continue walking up the steps. More forearms and chops. So they're more backstage now. Jericho suplexed Strong through a table. I think that was for 2. Strong caught back suplexed him on a counter. And you remember there was like the glass bit. That would have been cool. It was a little too small. If it was like a little bit, that would have been cool if they could have done that.
Yeah.
Jericho got a piece of staging and bashes Strong with it. Now they're in a stairwell, and then they went to like this kind of high platform, and they were chopping each other there. I thought that was really cool just because it was different. I felt like
it was.
Jericho hit like some sort of running strike on there for 2. Like you can't really do much there, but like they tried a bit. They left there. Jericho got a chair. Strong was throwing some kitchen utensils at him. Hit some chops. Strong was on the back pedal. They were going outside the arena. Then Adam Cole shows up. He attacked Jericho into this greenery area. Hit a last shot, and then Roddy hit a knee for the win.
Yeah. I quite like this, and it's weird because I don't love like brawling all over the place matches, but I thought this one was really fun. First of all, we got some time in the ring, like actual wrestling, and I really enjoy Roddy in the ring, so that was cool too. And then part of what I liked about the brawl is almost every location they went, the crowd was there, right? Like there were people there cheering and yelling and screaming, other than when they were on that little platform in the stairwell, there was people. So I think that really helped out instead of just the sounds of them punching each other over and over, right? Because there's not a lot you can do brawling. Then they mixed in a few cool spots with the brawling. So I was pretty entertained by this. And then the finish involving Adam Cole makes a lot of sense to me too, because you get Roderick Strong getting a big win in his debut, right? Jericho can take that loss no problem. It doesn't really hurt him, and he only lost because of interference from Adam Cole, right? So you can sort of protect Jericho that way. And it also makes sense because Cole is obsessed with Jericho for what he had done to Cole's wife, right? So it furthers their feud and it helps Roddy. So I thought entertaining brawl, and I'm not a brawl fan, but I like this, and I think it sort of furthered the storyline in a logical way as well between Jericho and Cole. So I liked it quite a bit.
Yeah, I thought like it was solid for the most part, but I like that they went to some different spots. Like it felt kind of different.
It was fun.
Going outside in the stairwell thought felt different, and then the finish was clever too. I thought that worked well, like not in the arena, so like that worked for that. And I saw like I think that people think that they're leading to an unsanctioned match.
Yes, they are.
That would make sense.
I think I even saw it was announced.
Given like that might have been why, but I don't know. I just saw in like a review.
Yeah.
Of Rampage.
Yeah.
Because they had a brawl or something. Next we get Roosh versus Jungle Boy. So Jungle Boy got busted open on the outside by Roosh because
that's what Roosh does. And I don't know if everyone likes it, but I love it. Like Roosh, he is going out to the floor and he's gonna run you into barricades and choke you with a cable if he can. Like it's just what he does, and I love it.
You gotta find my spot. There's a flurry of chops and then a thrust kick to the guy from Jungle Boy. He hit the ropes, but Roosh connected with a jumping knee strike. There's an avalanche hurricanrana from Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy locks in the snare trap, but Roosh is able to crawl to the ropes. There's a chop exchange on the apron. Roosh hits an overhead belly to belly, throwing Jungle Boy off the apron, and he landed high.
He did.
Then the finish came when Juice, Jungle Boy, he rolled up Roosh with a handful of trunks as payback because there was cheating. And Darby Allin tried to make the save from an LFI attack, but he got choked with a cable. Then Guevara made the save again. Like, what is with Guevara tonight?
Yeah. I think Roosh was a really smart choice here for Jungle Boy just because Roosh is such a violent, dastardly heel, right? And it really magnifies Jungle Boy being that babyface, resilient guy and even more sympathetic than usual. I like the match. My complaint would be the finish. I don't think... And believe me, I love Roosh, but I don't think Jungle Boy, he should have done something stronger than just a roll up with a grab of the tights, right? I don't, leading into a championship match, that's what he needed to do to beat Roosh, is not the strongest booking, I don't think, but I enjoyed the match. I'm a big Roosh fan. I feel like there's something about, like, he feels like he's assaulting his opponents rather than wrestling them. You know what I mean? It's just like he's extra violent and whatever, and I really like it. As for the brawl afterwards, I am enjoying the dynamic between the three pillar challengers, right? They know they can't all have the top spot,
but as long as it's not
one of them, and obviously none of them are winning, but that's not their fault. I think they're doing a good job.
No, they're like, and it's believable.
Yeah, I liked it.
I think I wouldn't blame someone for, like, if you wanted to believe they would win, then
yeah,
it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility. It's just I don't think it's the leading candidate.
And I'm always happy to see Roosh, so I thought this was a really smart use of him.
Yeah, that's why I said always nice to see Roosh. A lot of heavy strikes in this one, like the Falls Count Anywhere match, just like when getting our chops in this week, I guess. Roosh, of course, was cheating the whole time, which worked into the finish, with Jungle Boy getting one over on him with an underhanded tactic of his own. The belly-to-belly spot on the apron was nasty, but also cool at the same time. Like he barely got out of that safely, but that was nice. Guevara.
Yeah, we both were like, whoa!
Yeah, like at the exact same time, yeah. Guevara making the save was weird because, again, it's so beefy. Like, he's got to be working some angle.
Yes.
Maybe it's just so that they're all against MJF or Sammy's working something. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's so weird.
Or maybe he is going to help MJF at the end of the day. I don't know.
But, like, that would be weird, too.
It would.
Like, I don't know.
But at least it's some intrigue, I guess.
I don't know what he's doing. I guess. Like, I don't know what he's doing. then probably one of my favorite segments of the night, which is weird, but MJF interview. Renee asked him how he's feeling about the 4-way match with it almost a week away, and then he doesn't have to be defeated. He just smacks.
We both laughed at
smacks
this.
the mic out of her hand, stares at her for a second, and walks away.
So
that was funny.
I saw that this is not how this was supposed to go. That this was a last-minute audible, and that other people were supposed to be involved. I forget if it was the Pillars again, and that Britt Baker was supposed to show up, and she's the one that's supposed to be teasing that Cole is the next challenger, basically, after the Pillars. And that they changed it to this. I can't remember why.
Oh, that's what you're... Okay.
Right, that everybody was supposed to say something, and then she was supposed to say something about Adam Cole Bebe, sort of hinting that once this is done. But maybe they felt like that's telegraphing an MJF retaining, right? Which I think we all think.
Well, yeah, but we don't need. I think I like this a lot better.
Yeah, I thought this was very funny, right? And just Renee's face was good, and like
her reaction was just perfect. And MJF
well,
just like,
you expect such a wordy guy who cuts amazing long promos every week, just smacks the mic out of her hand.
It's a perfect contrast to what he usually does.
I thought it was quite funny too.
That was perfect. Next we got Tony Storm interview. It's just
crazy.
She got her microphone back though.
I hope she got paid by the hour this week or by the word or whatever.
Yeah, paid by the minute or something. Storm talked about her 4 wins in 5 days. That's got to be including house shows because that's just a big BS number there.
I agree. It'll come into my analysis a little bit there. Yeah, I thought that was strange.
It's just weird. And she says Hater isn't setting records like that. And she didn't even show up. She says she's completely different from before. She challenges Hater to a title match at Double or Nothing. This is fine, I guess, but I don't care.
She tried really hard here, and I don't think it was her worst promo. I don't think it was amazing, but I found it kind of strange. It's her just kind of going, by the way, I've won some matches this week somewhere that you guys are not aware of, and nobody saw them. And now I'm just booking myself in a title match, right? Like, we were making fun of this in NXT a while ago, right? Like everybody's just making their own matches. And so I have to call that out here too, right? Why does she have the power to say, I'm now facing you for the title? Like, why aren't other people doing that every time they win a couple matches, right? So, and I think, again, this is just a problem with the women's division. There isn't really anybody to challenge Hater. You're only focusing on the Outcasts, so you have to, like, run it back with Toni Storm. So it doesn't feel fresh to me. The match might be okay, but, like, I feel like it's kind of lazy, right? Like,
it is.
They're not doing anything else outside of this.
Hence why I don't care.
Yeah, I don't really care either. The match might be fine.
Mm-hmm. I think Renee should just smack the microphone out of her hands.
Maybe.
Next we get Ricardo Starks versus King Switch.
Yep, we do.
So White went outside the ring. Starks chased him, gets stomped for his troubles. White hit a dragon screw later on. Ricky fought back with some punches. White hit a side slam for a 2 count. A big clothesline from Starks. There was an elbow in the corner. Tornado DDT was blocked, but Starks hit an overhead suplex, then hit the Tornado DDT for 2. White hit a headbutt to the abs and hit DDT. White elbowed Starks in the corner, dropped him on the top rope like a suplex drop. Starks, a small package inside cradle for 2. Swing neck breaker from Starks. He hit a snow plow for 2. Starks and White were reversing each other's finishers. That was kind of cool. But then Starks did connect with a spear. Rochambeau got blocked. Juice tried to hit him with the chair, but missed. Then Ricky doesn't, and he hit Jay White with that, so that got a rare DQ finish there.
Very rare, although it's the second one in a few weeks, I think, right? AEW doesn't. There was one, because I remember saying that they almost.
It was Darby and Sammy.
That they almost never do it. I thought this was another good match on an episode with a lot of good matches, I'm happy to say. A couple had lackluster finishes, Jungle Boys, and I think this one too, in a way. I just think Jay White is a really good heel, and he's perfect for someone like Starks to play off of. I thought Starks looked really quick, hit some really cool offense, and the crowd really got behind a couple of his near falls there. And again, really rare DQ finish in AEW, so it makes it a little more meaningful and a little more palatable for me.
It'd be different if it was main roster.
Especially if it means they're going to run this back for higher stakes and a longer match, right? Because I'd be interested in this. As long as Jay White gets the win, I think he needs to... I don't think they can assume everybody knows who Jay White is and what he's all about. So I really think they need to have him beat somebody like Starks, because they built Starks, but they seem to have sort of cooled a bit on him. So I think White needs to pick up the win. But I like this match. The finish obviously wasn't exactly what I want, but I thought the action was good into that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Another match with a lot of hard chops. That's just they can't not, I guess. I think they could have kicked into another gear, but I think that we could be
I
getting
think
there.
so. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind this being run back on the pay-per-view, depending on
Me too.
how many matches we're already at. Not everyone will love the DQ finish, but it's fine here, and they rarely use it, so it's fine with me.
Yeah, I liked it.
Next we come to our final segment, which is weird, but I think it's perfectly fine.
Yep.
Don Callis is here to speak and quote explain himself. Not really.
Not a lot of explaining, no.
Not a lot of explaining. Many other things though. Callis says everyone wants to hear him talk about why he did what he did to Kenny, but he wants to talk about what Kenny did to him, and he's the only victim in this scenario. He says the IWGP title, Jericho vs. Omega, and the AEW title were all because of him, and there is no Kenny Omega without him. Battle cry hits, and Kenny Omega comes out. That's right, I know the name of his theme. And he starts attacking the security that were lining the ramp. But then Blackpool come out from behind and attack him, and as security kind of clears out, Mox hits a paradigm shift on the ramp. They walk down the ring. Mox says the war is already over, and the Elite can and could never touch them. He says this is Kenny's final warning to stay down. He claims they are what everyone else pretends to be, and they are the Elite.
Mm-hmm.
Which I like. I like that he says that. That's a nice little touch in there. Bucks theme hits. They walk out with a trash can with some weapons in there. I think there was a trash can lid. There is a 2x4. And then there's a barbed wire broom. I don't think there's anything else.
No axe handle?
No axe handles. No.
It's our weapon of choice now on FNS.
They need to patch that into 2K. I would love that. Hangman's music hits. He returns with an eye patch.
Pirate Page.
Pirate Man. Omega hands him the barbed wire broom. The brawl's underway, but I think Danielson avoided the brawl. Like I saw him like hiding behind the stairs or something, which I thought that was kind of funny. In the ring, Omega blasts you with the trash can. He was like wearing it like a Captain America shield, and then just like ran into him with it. Then Yuta took a BTE trigger and a buckshot lariat. And so we get a parallel of that moment after the three-way trios match where Hangman was sitting in the ring and he had the Elite behind him, and then they were like kind of standing across the ring from each other when he turned around. But then this time he stands with them and says they are the heart, the soul, the spirit of AEW. And then after a pause, he says they are the Elite to a nice little pop. And he tells Blackpool to run and hide while they can, because at Double Nothing, we are indeed getting anarchy in the arena.
Yeah, we are. That should be awesome.
So you can go, because I got much to say.
My only question was, what about Takeshita, right? He seemed to be in this
I
orbit and not now.
I'm thinking, and I remember you told me about like a similar idea, is like you can just easily throw him, and if they get him Ibushi into Blood and Guts, because like, that typically tends to be a 5-on-5 affair, I feel like. So
that would be amazing.
I think it was 6 last year. But
yeah, I thought this was really cool, and you've got a super hot heel faction, in my opinion, like Blackpool, and I think it makes sense that they're enough to make Paige and the rest of the Elite sort of put their differences aside, right? Because they need to come together to take out this major threat in Blackpool, who are just clearly going to keep attacking them and like relentlessly not leaving them alone. So I think these are two awesome factions, and they could kind of have a lengthy, productive feud. I don't think
I would enjoy, not like Blackpool and
I don't think it needs to even culminate with Anarchy. They could keep going from there. So
Blood and Guts, you can go further than that even? I don't even know.
And you can't have Callis be a babyface. He just doesn't.
It doesn't work.
You're leaving money on the table, as they say, by doing that. So
it's like an MJF as a babyface. Although MJF could do good, but still,
it might not be the best explanation ever, but
he didn't really get an explanation. He just he kind of got cut off, which I think is okay, because that leaves some mystery to it, because maybe they haven't fully thought that out.
Right.
And I think this is a perfectly fine way of leaving that open-ended.
And the visual of Hangman coming out, and even, like you said, specifically standing in line with the rest of the Elite to say, like, yes, we are a group again. It's not like me just sort of helping them out. I thought this was a really good way to end the show.
I thought it was a perfect way to cap off the show. It's like a perfect end segment, and you get like that end shot of them all together. Like, it's a great like ending visual. I feel like it would almost be nicer on the go home show.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, I don't hate it like that. We have another week to let this build, and I think that's perfectly fine, but it would almost be nicer on the go home. Like,
yep.
Because most of the build's already there, so I think it's perfect either way. But So Cal's part was short, but that's okay. It keeps these reasons a mystery for now, and that easily could be revisited after if they'd like to. Like, that can be reincorporated at any point.
For sure.
I think the whole setup with Hangman's return was perfectly done. First time I saw this, I got like little chills because like it was a really nice moment. The pop was really nice. I like the dramatic pause he had when he was saying like "We are the elite."
Right.
That was really perfect to get like the desired pop there. It's a really nice payoff to not only this ongoing storyline but the entire saga of the elite that you could date back to at least 2019 when Hangman left the elite because he was doubting himself and he felt unworthy.
Right.
And then there's a whole storyline of him and Omega being tag champs, but he wasn't still in the elite. And they had the Revolution tag match that was awesome. Like, this just kind of finally connects back to that, which is really nice. And some might complain about, like, since the elite are EVPs or whatever, you might complain about them being so prominent again. But, like, this big overarching story that, like, has been on and off for, like, since the beginning of the company with the elite it's really AEW at their peak
and people
storytelling
like
wise. The Bloodline storyline was amazing, don't get me wrong, but if I had to pick one or the other, I would take this because this has been going on longer. It's got more layers to it. It's just like it's been an amazing on and off
I'm
thing
not tired of it yet. That's
for years.
Sure.
It's still not feeling stale, right? Like, I think this is a great new twist to that. Just having the elite back together was a really awesome moment, and I'm really hyped for this match. I might even want to see this more than the Pillars for it, which is tough because those are two really exciting matches.
I agree.
And for such a short segment, I thought this was fantastic just for that moment. Like, it just felt like a perfect little thing here, and the whole build to the match has really come full circle here. And like you said, they can stretch this out as long as they want. Really, I think you could go past this. I think a Blood and Guts is pretty much. Like, I mean, they tend to do that every year, and what else are you going to do other than this?
Feels like this.
So I think that'll be really cool. Hangman is the guy. I'm happy he's back. That was perfect, and I'm glad he's not using that weird theme anymore because that would be so much worse in this moment.
Yeah, that experiment didn't last long. This just felt like something worthy of ending a show.
Yeah,
right?
and
it's a big enough moment.
It's a moment for anyone who's been watching the whole time.
Right.
Like, it's... If you've been watching since the beginning, like we have, like it's a perfect moment. It was awesome, and it was a great end to the show.
Yeah. Overall thoughts on the show? I really liked. I thought this was a super easy show to watch, and while there wasn't like one blowaway match that I'm like you have to go see it, I liked almost all of the wrestling on this show. Like even the opening Wardlow segment over delivered for me. Moriarty, Big Bill, Darby Allin, Cassidy. I enjoyed that match. Right. Guevara Exodus Prime was nothing, obviously. The women's match was fine. You had Strong Jericho, I thought was a fun, like, all over the arena sort of brawl. Roosh Jungle Boy I liked. Starks Jay White was good. I liked the ending segment. It was just it went by really quickly for me. A lot of interesting stuff. Again, a blowaway match would have put it as a solid A, but I think this is an A- show, and I think that's the second week in a row, right, that they've been in the A range.
Yeah, so I remember last week being really good as well.
I'm very happy. Like, some of the matches felt a bit random, but the in-ring quality was good, and then I liked a bunch of the out-of-the-ring stuff as well, and ending with a really good segment. So I think this was an A- show this week. What about you?
Yeah, I thought it was a really nice show. I think I wasn't as high on the opening segment as you were, but I think it was still solid. I don't think any of the matches were bad. I think maybe worst, like, non-squash-wise, was the women's tag, but it's not even that's bad. It's meaningless at this point.
Right.
If anything, but I thought the opener was fun enough. Squash was whatever. Women's tag was solid. Falls Count Anywhere was also pretty fun. I liked it. And White and Starks was good too. And I forgot Roosh and Jungle Boy was pretty good. That was nice too. MJF's a little bit was awesome. I think Cassidy's segments, like pair segments, was solid. Any of the 4 pillar segments were solid too. Like Guevara, like, as weird it is, him being babyface, he did good regardless.
Yeah, it's still entertaining.
I didn't love FTR's stuff with those heels, but that was okay, I guess. And I don't think I'm missing anything else major. And then the main event segment was just fantastic. I love that. Those are the kind of moments I love to see, and so that really that's building Double or Nothing perfectly. And that was a perfect end for me. And so I'll also give it an A-, especially just because that last segment really delivered for me. Like, that was just very nice.
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row, I've been very, very happy with AEW. Well, we'll shift gears now and move into a little bit of trivia in a segment that we like to call Off the Top of His Head. All All right, so I am going back to AI trivia this
Hooray.
week. So you seem to quite enjoy it, and it's actually a faction that you've already mentioned a couple
Oh,
times
what
this
did I-
week
what-
without knowing.
What Undisputed Era?
No.
What did I love last week? Oh yeah, the tournament for Seth Rollins' title that he was supposedly also in.
So Seth Rollins
awesome.
related, but
Shield.
I went with the Shield.
Oh
this
boy,
week.
this will be awesome.
So I said,
Did you check it this time?
No, I didn't check any.
Okay.
So I said, what are 15 multiple choice questions with answers about the Shield's greatest matches in WWE?
Okay, good. You clarified because I was worried they would like think of the Shield from Marvel or something.
No, I said sure, and it
Okay.
said sure. Here are 15 multiple choice questions. Blah 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 blah.
Okay.
All right, so here we go. In which year did the Shield make their WWE main roster debut?
2012.
Okay, so they're saying 2013. So
No.
who do I believe?
It was 2012. It was the Survivor Series. Remember they put Ryback through the table with the Shield bomb.
Right. So A, first question's wrong. B, pretty sure that's not one of their greatest matches either.
They didn't. I mean, wait. So what was it? Was the question was what year, right?
Yes.
So that doesn't apply to a match.
Correct.
Because like at
So
the
we're
very
off
least
to a
you
strong
could.
start.
Okay.
Number 2. I wonder if it'll get anything right. Which pay-per-view event featured the Shield's first official match as a team?
TLC 2012.
Hey, correct.
That's what it was.
It's more like I'm happy that ChatGPT
AI
is
got it
correct
right,
and not
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
This is sort of backwards. Who did the Shield face in their debut match at TLC 2012?
Ryback and Team Hell No in a TLC match.
So, sorry, Ryback and who?
Team Hell No.
Which is who?
Kane and Daniel Bryan.
So that is not what they're saying
It
here.
was that.
Is that even one of the options? So the options were, the closest option would be Daniel Bryan, Kane, and Rey Mysterio.
No.
So they said the answer is, they disagree with you, John Cena, Sheamus, and
No.
Ryback.
No. No. That's
Okay.
not it at all.
All right, let's keep
No.
going.
No.
At which pay-per-view did the Shield face the Wyatt family in a highly anticipated match?
Elimination Chamber 2014.
So that is one of their options, but they went with Extreme Rules 2014.
Extreme Rules 2014 was Evolution, so no.
Okay, nice.
That was the first Evolution match.
Who won the match between the Shield and the Wyatt family at Extreme Rules 2014?
Well, it wasn't at Extreme Rules, but if they mean the Elimination Chamber one, I know the Wyatts actually won that, which is surprising.
Oh, I was going to say, didn't the Shield always win everything?
That was after they'd been defeated before, so
Oh.
it wasn't like their first loss, I think.
Which member of the Shield won the Money in the Bank ladder match in 2016?
Ambrose.
Correct. Hey, they got one right. Nice work.
That was I
They got
remember
two completely correct.
I'll never forget that because that was when I was too young to finish pay-per-views.
Yeah.
So I hadn't seen most of the show. I think we watched like the early parts of it, but like and I went to bed whatever time it was, right? So then I Raw the next day. I remember I think you and Mom were talking to someone. So I remember someone was at the door or something. Or, I don't know. Like you guys were talking to someone or
Yeah.
doing something. So I watched Raw just like so usually we watch together, but I was like I really wanted to watch it for something. And the first thing I see is Ambrose coming with the
Right.
belt, and I
And
just
you were
like
hyped.
I lost my crap because
Yeah.
I had no idea what happened. So I was so confused.
Oh, your pre-spoiler days. See how fun that was? Now you spoil on everything all the time. Number 7, at which pay-per-view did the Shield face Evolution in a memorable 6-man tag team match?
Well, that's kind of a trick question because
Is
I
it?
mean, if you mean a standard 6-man tag, then it's Extreme Rules 2014. But they also face them in a no holds barred elimination 6-man tag
Which was?
at Payback.
So they said Payback 2014.
I guess
Correct.
that could be seen as right. Depends how you want to take that, I guess.
So somewhat right, at least. So like 2.5 of them are right so far. Who won the 6-man tag team match between the Shield and Evolution at Payback 14?
Shield won both, so if they say anything else, then
Nope,
it's wrong.
they said the Shield. Which member of the Shield won the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 32?
Roman.
They say Dean Ambrose.
No, he lost to Brock in that in the no holds barred Street Fighter. Remember, Brock didn't want to do stuff,
Right.
so it wasn't very good.
Which pay-per-view featured...
I was worried they were gonna say Seth Rollins, and then I was gonna be like, no, he was injured.
Which pay-per-view featured the final chapter match, marking the Shield's last match together before
The
their
Shield's
initial
final
break?
chapter. It was like one of those televised house shows, and it was literally called the Shield's final chapter.
So you're saying it wasn't TLC 2014? Why that face?
They were split up by then, and also I think that was the pay-per-view where Dean Ambrose faced Bray Wyatt and a TV monitor blew up in his face,
Uh-huh.
and then Cena beat
Sure.
Rollins in a tables match.
Nice.
So that doesn't. And the Shield's final chapter is in 2019,
So it's wrong on many
like
levels.
on every level possible.
I like that. That's great when that happens.
just completely wrong.
Who did the Shield face in their final chapter match at TLC 2014?
Okay, I'll give you the actual right answer for their final chapter,
Go
which
ahead.
was that time when it was the random team with it was Corbin like post Constable, and then it was Mac and
Post Constable, pre
King,
right?
And also pre Happy
Yep.
and pre Bomb.
Yep.
But it was against Corbin, pre Constable, and then McIntyre and Lashley.
They are saying Evolution, so I don't know who
No.
to believe.
Okay.
Which member of the Shield faced Triple H in a singles match at Mania 32?
Roman.
No, Seth Rollins. How dare you? You say you like the Shield, but then you don't know anything about them.
He was injured at that Mania.
I actually thought that one was right.
No, he faced Triple H in an unsanctioned match at Mania 33.
Wow.
So
You sound like you know what you're talking about.
yeah.
Number 13. Who did the Shield face in their reunion match at WWE TLC 2017? Is that even right?
Yeah. I think that works because they reunited in 2017, but then there's a caveat with that because I don't know if you remember, but so before TLC 2017, there was like that weird illness going around. I remember Roman and Bray got taken out.
Oh, yeah.
Because Sister Abigail was supposed to face Demon Balor.
Right.
And AJ came in as a replacement.
Right.
And so do you remember what happened with the Shield match?
No.
Remember Kurt Angle?
Oh, yeah. In Shield
So
gear.
it was Shield with Kurt
In
Angle
SWAT
and Roman
gear,
against Miz, Bar, Kane, and Braun Strowman in a 5-on-3 TLC match.
And we saw that figure everywhere. The
Yeah.
Kurt Angle.
Yeah, it does
in
a
Shield
ringside
gear.
exclusive, and
Yeah.
it ended up at Toys R Us because no one wanted it.
Right.
What are they saying?
Who did you say it was?
Miz, the Bar, which is Sheamus and Cesaro, and then Kane and Braun Strowman.
So kind of close. They said the Bar and Braun Strowman.
I get but not just them.
Okay. Which member of the Shield won the Universal Championship at WrestleMania 34?
None of them.
Hey. So none of them was one of the options, but that's not the answer they
What
gave.
do they say?
They say Seth Rollins.
No.
How dare you?
No. Okay. So first of all, Roman Reigns is challenging for the Universal title against Lesnar. Remember, that's the one where he was rumored to win because Lesnar was rumored to be going back to UFC, but then he didn't.
Right.
I remember Roman bled. I think it was hard way. Remember, he just
Oh, yeah.
Lesnar did the thing he did to Orton, and then Roman was gushing.
Yep.
So first of all, Roman lost that match. Second of all, Rollins was in the opener. And remember, it was in the Seth Rollins quiz last week. He won the Intercontinental title against Miz and Balor, so it doesn't work at all.
So AI is not smart. Last question. Which pay-per-view featured the Shield's final match as a team before disbanding in 2019, if that's even correct?
The Shield's final chapter.
Well, they're saying which pay-per-view featured their final match.
None.
No, they're saying your options are
Fastlane?
Fastlane 2019,
Okay, I guess.
but that's not the answer they gave.
No.
They say Survivor Series 2019.
No. He was Moxley by then. He
wasn't even in the company at that
He
point.
wasn't.
That's amazing.
He debuted in because Double Nothing, remember, is like April or May, and that's
Right.
when he debuts. So he's Moxley by then.
That's funny.
Their last, if you want to go there, last pay-per-view match was Fastlane 2019, but then they had the final chapter thing.
So they, I don't know, man. I'm still kind of enjoying these trivia.
I very much like it.
Okay, so I'll keep.
It's so bad, it's good.
And the nice thing is, it also keeps a running tally of all of the topics I've already searched if I don't delete them, so I'll know if I do.
That's good. At
So
least you have a back catalog.
Along the left side, it keeps all of
Okay.
my previous
That's good then.
queries. All right, so we'll keep going with the AI. It's kind of fun to watch you correct artificial intelligence. It's just proof that, actual intelligence is still a little bit better than artificial when it comes to wrestling knowledge, at least. But anyways, we're going to shift gears back into talking about some actual wrestling from this week, what we really liked, what we didn't like, and what we call Highspots and Restholds. All right, we'll start with Monday night, which is Raw. What did you glean from Raw this week?
That's a word.
Glean. Heck yeah, it is.
Spleen.
You didn't know it was a word?
No. So the first high spot I had was I think JD McDonough seems to be starting off solid on the main roster.
Yeah.
He got a pretty nice intro vignette that you might like. I kind of liked it.
Oh, good.
He was eliminated by Ziggler in the Battle Royal, which doesn't sound amazing, but he beat him up a bunch after, and that seems to be his first feud, which I think is solid because Ziggler's a good hand, and he's face right now, so I think that works well enough for
Yeah.
JD. At least he's not It's not like he lost on his debut. It was just a battle royal. So
And it looks like he's facing somebody he's going to beat, right? Which
Obviously,
is what
yeah.
we would prefer.
When he was getting interviewed as he was leaving, you could see Balor in the background at the end, which is interesting. That's what people have been noticing. So,
Right.
He's got some solid amount of spotlight on the first show, so
And
I think that's good.
Because people were saying maybe in Judgment Day, right? So
Right.
clearly there's something.
Yeah, so I thought that
around
was
there.
good for him.
Good.
And then another high spot kind of is Ali winning Mustafa Ali winning the number one contender battle royal to face Gunther at Night of Champions. So we're getting Ali versus Gunther,
Oh, boy.
which is interesting. Because
That is
he'll
interesting.
get pasted.
Because he's going to get the...
Yeah.
But
Which,
then-
it's interesting because he's got the Saudi heritage, so it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, I know he'll probably get pasted, but it's kind of a high spot for me because I like Ali, so it's kind of
too.
a high
And-
spot. It's kind of a spotlight for him.
And he'll get, little flurries of offense in between getting absolutely murdered. But I'm interested
I'm not sure
in
if
that.
it's really a pay-per-view match, but I'm happy for him.
It feels fresh, which
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I really want, ever since I thought of it, I really want Matt Riddle versus Gunther. That just is perfect.
That would be fun, for
If-
sure.
If Pete Dunne's on SmackDown, then give Riddle the Intercontinental title. That is nice. Just not now.
And then elevate Gunther even further, I would say. He's got to be a
Now that there's a World
main
Heavyweight
champion
title,
guy.
I would honestly be okay with Gunther beating Rollins.
Me too.
Gunther or Balor
Yep.
should be next. Then last one I had was a literal high spot. Just I saw the coup de grace Balor hit to Zayn.
Mm-hmm.
Just stuck him with it.
Did he?
Yeah,
I
it
did
was,
not
it was
see
one of
it.
those. So that's a literal high spot.
Nice. Moving on to NXT this week. A surprisingly good opening match I liked, and it was Fallon Henley taking on Cora Jade in this one, right, as part of the tournament for the NXT Women's Championship. And you had Henley selling her left leg for most of this, and then Jade obviously targeting it whenever she could. Henley hit a Shining Wizard at one point, but couldn't make the cover due to her leg. And Henley was on offense for probably, I would say, most of this match. And she ended up kind of stealing a glance at the championship, which they had displayed at ringside. So then as she goes to get back in the ring, Cora Jade hits her with a chop block to that already injured leg. And Jade then connects with her DDT, which I think is a pretty weak finisher. But
Yeah, I don't love it.
it is the finisher nonetheless. So she won only about a 5-minute match. But I like, the simple story about the injured leg. The action was solid. No major issues because when Jade sort of started at NXT, and maybe Henley too, right? They were pretty green, and there was a lot of sloppiness in Cora Jade matches, especially.
She used to be bad.
Which I'm noticing less and less. So I thought this was pretty solid. Another high spot, but somewhat disappointing at the same time because I find the dyad I was telling you actually looked cool on this show, but it's on their way out the door because their contracts are going to be over. What was it? October or something. So I guess they got a bit of time left, but. So instead of doing what Schism normally do, which is stand around and each member says some cryptic thing that doesn't really mean anything, instead the dyad just interrupt a Wesley Tyler Bate, I guess they're kind of meditating in the locker room, and just lay a really good beating on them, culminating in slamming Tyler Bates' arm in the locker door. They basically throw Wesley into the locker while Bates' arm is in the door. It looked pretty good. And then you have Joe Gacy show up, and he says that Bate and Lee's relationship is based on lies and will fall apart. So for me, this is light years ahead of what they normally do. So the dyad just kind of look like badasses, and Gacy's more the leader and the mouthpiece instead of being we're a family and everybody gets to talk and nothing we say matters and we're all really boring. It's kind of you've got your butt-kicking tag team and their sort of cryptic leader there, right, who just comes in and says a little bit.
Too bad they're doing that kind of late, though.
I agree. So I thought the dynamic here was way better, way more simple and effective. But again, dyad are pretty much on their way out, it looks like. A high spot for me, at least the initial interaction, Dragunov and Dijak. They went back to this 2 more times, including I think it was the final visual of the show. So they had a match last week that was too short, right? Ended in a DQ with Dijak. Was it a chair? I can't remember what he did. But anyways.
Yeah, and he was doing the whole inflicting pain thing.
Right. So now they're talking about how Dragunov likes pain and Dijak likes dishing out pain. Dragunov basically says that he's unbreakable and that pain isn't. I like the line. He said, "Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional," which I thought was a pretty cool line. So Dijak says that he can break Dragunov. Dragunov says he'd love to see him try. In the moment, I thought this was leading to a match between them, but it would happen on this show. I think they showed a nightstick or something. And so basically they cut back to this twice. And the implication is that Dijak has just been wearing out Dragunov with this nightstick and just beating on him, and that Dragunov just won't stop, right? Won't quit or whatever. But I thought Dragunov was really excellent in this first segment. And it was really dark, kind of like Lucha Underground tone to it, which I really liked. And Dijak, I think his look is still really hokey, but I like this segment, right? And again, it came back twice with Dragunov being just apparently assaulted by Dijak for like an hour straight, if you believe what the show's saying, but willing to take more punishment regardless.
Right, because they have a last man standing, right?
Yeah, that's what it is, last man standing? I knew it was going to be something along those lines, yeah. We get the mystery attacker strikes again, which for me is a high spot because I like sort of mysteries in wrestling. This time it was at a house show. They were showing it, I think, earlier in the week. That. And then whoever it is attacked Danny Palmer at ringside. Kind of makes sense because if they're saying... Because I didn't notice them including the Sol Ruca attack when they were showing this, but other people said they did, and Danny Palmer is friends with Sol Ruca in the storyline.
Similar
right?
backgrounds.
So it kind of makes sense. And I'm fine with a little mystery, so I like this. Obviously, it's really going to depend on what the payoff is, but I'm fine with it for now. Another thing I really liked was the Creeds taking on the Dyad in a tag team match. You had a lengthy knuckle lock sequence with Gibson. Sorry, not Gibson. What is he now?
Rip Fowler.
Rip Fowler. And Julius. Again, Julius just showcasing crazy athleticism for his size. They do the stalling suplex thing, and they hand the Creeds, that is, they hand Reed off. Then they also do it to Gibson, but even with an extra handing him off one more time for a stalling suplex. So that was cool. We got a cool looking Koji clutch from Jagger Reed that Julius obviously powers up into a power bomb. And then I had a question here. Commentary suggests that Ava is in charge of this team, ? So I don't know if they're trying to say like when Gacy's not around, she's in charge. But anyways, it seemed like a new development for them just to announce it mid-match to me. Brutus gets a pretty nice hot tag. He actually flipped out of a suplex attempt, landing on his feet. Surprised me a bit.
Oh my! That reminds me when I was playing 2K, and so I got like the new DLC, right? And so I was testing out pretty deadly against the Creeds.
Yeah.
So like I was playing as Prince, and Julia tried to hit me with like a German, and I flipped out of it. But then I perfectly, and like my shins hit off the barricade. Like I kind of glitched for a second, and both my shins just hit off the barricade as I flipped out. Which
you see him punked it.
Yeah.
We also got a northern suplex from Brutus while attempting to pin the other one. It's sort of like he does the Northern Lights and it ended up a pinning predicament with the other member of the Dyad. I forget which. It looked pretty cool. Then we got one heel, one face up on opposite corners looking at each other.
Oh, I saw that.
Hitting stereo 450s looked pretty good. So that was Jagger Reed and Julius Creed. And then
more athletic ones.
The women get involved at ringside, right? Ivy Nile puts a dragon sleeper on Ava. Brutus then hits the Brutus ball to Fowler out on the floor, and that leaves Julius alone in the ring. So he hits that slam thing that I don't know what to call it, and a basement clothesline to Jagger Reed.
I love that.
The Creeds win a really good match. It got 15 minutes here. And again, like, why are you doing this to Dyad now? It's like, oh, you guys asked for your release. Now we're going to make you look cool.
You want to stay now?
Like, and it feels that's very WWE contrary, right?
I feel like it's
you want to leave? Well, let's show you how good you could have been.
Well, I feel like it's also like you get them to stay and then they can go back down the card.
Exactly. Okay, we'll stay. And now you're crap.
Right,
again. Yeah. Really good stuff from all four. Much better version of the Dyad, right? They kind of just look like a badass heel tag team and less like mopey cult members. And I would much rather they stop the family thing and go with Gacy as the leader. The Dyad are your ass-kicking tag team. You've got Ava as the woman in the group, and that's fine, right? It's just, again, the timing of it is strange. I don't know if it was good or bad, but notable at least. Tony D and Stax are having dinner. Stax has to go take an important call about their mafia business. And then two police officers come to talk to Tony D, and they're basically taking him in for questioning about some criminal activity. So they never show the officers' faces. They just show like them from the neck down, basically. But they definitely look like they're performance center guys, right? So I'm wondering if this is going to be a new tag team eventually, or
remember
if
the
it's just they're
Creeds were
using
security,
right? Or they're just using guys to pretend to be police, and we'll never hear from it again. But it was something anyway.
It'll be like this is their first appearance kind of thing.
Yes,
but it's
exactly.
like unrelated.
It'll be trivia later. Like
yeah. That's one of those things.
High spot, just because I love him. It was 10 seconds of Noam Dar carrying the Heritage Cup like a baby while staring at it adoringly just before a commercial break. You know, they just do little quick things, and it just made me laugh because he's funny.
I love Noam Dar.
The Supernova sessions, I liked it. It wasn't perfect, but there were several things I liked. So Dragon Lee's the guest. Nathan Fraser ends up interrupting it, and we're going to get Fraser and Noam Dar next week, and then Dragon Lee and Noam Dar for the cup at the next pay-per-view. Probably a little bit too long, this segment. Yes, PLA, you're right. Some of it wasn't great, but Dar had several amusing moments, right? And the fact that it ended up producing 2 matches that I'm interested in make the segment a success for me. One of the things that was funny, obviously, is Noam Dar has a big, comfortable couch with all kinds of cushions on it for himself. And then when Dragon Lee comes out, it's like a small wooden kitchen chair, right, that he has to sit in. And then Dar has fruit on the little coffee table. And at various times, he's like just grabbing fruit and eating it. So he starts yelling for security, but he's like taking the time to eat fruit before he does that, which just made me laugh. I don't know. And then the way Noam Dar is saying USA, you know how he did the whole Alicia Fox thing? So he's got his own way of saying USA just to be annoying that I'm enjoying. There even was...
But neither of them are American.
Speaking of Alicia Fox, there was a callback to her made by Nathan Fraser in
nice.
this. So I thought the segment was kind of fun. There have been better ones in NXT UK, but I thought this was... I don't feel like the crowd was really enjoying it as much as I did, but who cares, right? Too bad for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Resthold, JC Jane speaks to Mackenzie. She briefly mocks Gigi Dolan for losing her round 1 match. She's confident that she'll beat Roxanne tonight, and she sounded awful doing it. Even your mom was in the room for this, right? And going, "What is she doing?" sort of thing. Like she's just
I saw her entrance,
and
it's like it was unchanged.
Yeah, no, it was exactly the same.
So I know she's still heel, like you said, but like just to me, like there's the fact that there's 0 change just doesn't scream volumes about her ability to me.
No.
Like
she's just a little bit too much of everything for me. If she could dial it back like 15%, it would be much more believable for me. I thought Braun Breaker heading into Mello's barbershop was kind of a cool idea. So Trick and Mello defeated Gulak and Dempsey in a solid 7-minute tag match this week. You have Trick and Mello demanding Brock come out, right? Braun. Braun shows up on the Tron, says some pretty decent heel stuff, nothing amazing, but then when the camera pulls back from him, we see that he's in the barbershop with Mello's crew still there kind of looking nervous, right? Because they're concerned about what Braun might do here. So he's definitely Braun, that is a better heel than a babyface, and I think I might actually like this version of him where I was pretty indifferent to babyface Braun. Like, yeah, he has solid matches, but as a heel, he was just pretty bland.
So would you say he's better than good and meaner than evil?
Meaner than evil, for sure. Yeah. He's more meaner than evil. That's our new take on that. Highspots, surprisingly, but I've had this opinion before. I think Dabba-Kato's decent in promos. Not so much in ring, but like...
Babatunde?
He got to speak here and basically said, even though he got drafted, he's not going anywhere, which begs the question, what's the point of getting drafted?
Did he get drafted?
I think he's one of the...
Free agents?
Yes, one of those.
Then he doesn't have to go anywhere, technically.
So he's basically on the hunt. NXT roster is the prey. And I think they didn't give him the best lines here. They're kind of cheesy, but I think his delivery is actually totally fine compared to some people. Resthold, right after this, is that Axiom had been watching this on a tablet backstage with some others, and I didn't like them having to act like they're kind of afraid of Dabba-Kato. So it was Axiom, Idris Enofe, Malik Blade, and Eddie Thorpe, and it's like, oh, they're worried, and I don't like Axiom being lumped in with these other guys. The other guy's fine. You want to be afraid of Dabba-Kato, but I think Axiom is better than that and should not be involved in that. So, final Resthold. I thought the final segment was left something to be desired. It was Carmelo Hayes and Trick call out Braun yet again. This time he does come out, and it was kind of a standard promo and then brawl with a low blow and a belt shot from Mello. It didn't really generate any extra heat for me. I don't think it was terrible. It just doesn't really add anything. You know I love Carmelo, and so do you, but he's missing a little something, right, since becoming a babyface.
Yeah, that's why I want him as a heel.
Heel Mello as North American champion for me was like, this guy's a megastar. This is awesome. The belt looks great with him. He's elevating this thing. It's not quite doing the same.
I think he needs to kind of switch back after the Braun thing's done, because I think the heel turn does Braun favors, but then they need to give Mello his heel turn back.
And it's sort of set up that he can turn heel on Trick, right? As much as I like them together as a package, clearly they have plans for Trick. They're really trying to see what they have with him right now. Mm-hmm. So that'd be an opportunity for Hayes to go back to heel and try Trick as a babyface for a bit, I guess. I don't know. Then we got Impact Wrestling. I watched that as well. Impact was really strong in ring this week, I'm happy to say. The opening match included, and that was Trey Miguel defeating Laredo Kid. I think it was for the X Division title. I'm not quite sure. Laredo Kid, I think, is back from an injury. So
I didn't see it as a title match, but I don't know.
He was looking heavier and not quite as quick as usual, but still really good. And it was weird because Miguel seemed to try to be slowing things down for the first few minutes of it, and then it picked up. These two had a really entertaining, I think it was like a 9-minute match or something. Trey won by ripping Laredo Kid's mask off and then rolling him up as Laredo Kid was trying to hide his face, right? So kind of I don't know, it doesn't bother me because Trey's a heel and he would do this kind of stuff. Some people are sick of the whole going after the masks. I don't find Impact do it as much as some other places. So it was okay. A good match. Finish makes sense with Trey's character, right? And then he cut a promo after the match about being disrespected, and he says he's going to hold the show hostage as he sits down in the ring as the show goes to commercial. So what came out of that for me was a rest hold, because the person who responded to that after the commercial was Chris Sabin. I thought he gave a pretty boring promo here, a bit longer than I would have had to, about becoming a nine time, he says it 9 times, X Division champion. So sure, why not? High spot for me, they actually put some work into explaining why Sami Callihan and Rich Swann would be sort of unlikely friends and colleagues here. And so they're sort of sit down and discuss their actual lengthy history together. And Callahan talks about Swann being the most talented person he's ever met in terms of just like he can sing, play musical instruments, athletically, wrestling, whatever. And then Swann was sort of putting over Callahan's ability to connect with crowds and what a great character he is. So, I mean, I like this. It felt realistic. Both of these guys need something to do anyways. And if you're going to put them together, I appreciate you offering some sort of explanation, right, of their history and their affiliation, so they don't seem so much like a random pairing. So I appreciated this segment. Another high spot was another match. Ace Austin took on Jason Hotch of the Good Hands, and this got way more time and was more competitive than I expected it to be. Really good pace with Hotch getting a chance to showcase some offense. I honestly think he's really good. So Myers and Skyler got involved to prevent a fold from happening, but then Chris Bay comes over to take out Skyler. Hotch hits a nice standing Spanish fly for a near fall. Hotch kicks out of a pinfall attempt, and it sends Austin into the ropes. Myers hits him with a cheap shot, and that allows Hotch to roll up Austin for the win. So I thought the match was really good. I'm happy to see the Good Hands sort of up their profile since joining with Myers, which we talked about last week, right? It seems like a good fit with the Good Hands and Brian Myers, a lot better than when they were lackeys with Bully Ray, right? So I like the trajectory they're on. Seems to be they're on a collision course for Bullet Club with the tag titles. I wouldn't say weird. I wouldn't say the Good Hands are built as a likely team.
Does that mean Bullet Club are face?
I think they kind of are. Because again, this was Ace Austin against a heel, and the heel cheated to win. So I feel like that's how they're being positioned now. But anyways, I'm happy the Good Hands are getting a little bit of attention. Resthold, unfortunately, Macklin is not done with Singh and Shera, I guess. It looked like he was last week, but he's happy because Singh and Shera took out Heath, so he wants them to follow some more orders, and then they just kind of walk out and leave. I say it again, a strong champion does not surround himself with these guys. Totally different if Singh and Shera had a higher profile or had been successful or winning or doing anything, but these are guys that lose on like pre-shows and stuff, have been treated like a joke for most of their time here, and now they're sort of supporting what's supposed to be your biggest performer. So I don't get why they're doing this, but they are. Another rest hold. Alicia interrupts Jordan Grace. Grace wants Deonna healthy for her last title shot, and Alicia is involved, and she sounded bad, as she tends to do. High spot, really like this match. Trinity's in-ring debut. You saw a bunch of this, or all of it, right? You were in the room. Trinity and...
Oh, yeah. I was there, yeah.
Kylan King, right?
Yeah.
So I told you, and you noticed a bit, it was Trinity versus her ring gear for quite a bit of this. Like, she basically had a one strap top, and the side without the strap she had to keep adjusting constantly. But anyways, another, like, this got a lot of time, and again was more competitive than I expected. It was Trinity selling quite a bit throughout this, but then mixing in flurries of offense as well. Trinity hit some similar to a heat seeker, right? I don't remember what the exact difference was, but you were watching it with me. So she got
like she's on her knees, kind of. It was more of a face buster.
She got a near fall out of that. Trinity eventually wins with a submission. I thought it looked kind of cool that she calls the Starstruck. I don't remember what it was at right now, but I remember thinking it looked kind of cool.
It's like a sunset flip, and then you modify it so their arms are trapped and you kind of pull on their neck.
Oh, right. It looked pretty
I remember
good.
she won the SmackDown Women's title with that and at Mania 33 in that six-pack challenge.
I thought there were a couple issues early on that weren't perfect, but then I thought this was really good and that they did a really good job of building this match as it went. I'm starting to be impressed by Kylan King. She's got a different look, right, because she's taller and a bit bigger. I thought she looked really good here, and she made Trinity's first win feel like a quality win. Like, I was expecting, okay, we're getting like a 4-minute easy Trinity win, but this was a really good match that built and got a bunch of time. I was pleasantly surprised. Resthold, what I think you saw as well, the Death Dolls and the Undead Realm were still dealing with that. So Jessica's still waiting for Rosemary to get back from the Undead Realm, and Jessica's holding the oh my God, what do you call those things? The hourglass as the time's running out, I guess. The Coven come and try to turn her against Rosemary, and they're like, Jessica's like, Rosemary says you guys don't really have any power and you can't get to the Undead Realm, and the Coven are saying, have you ever considered the possibility that Rosemary's not always right? I don't care. Nobody could care about this. Nobody is like, man, I can't wait to see how this comes out next week or whatever. No way. Another Resthold, I think what we found out is that Dirty Dango, is the person who tacked Santino Marella. So it's basically, what was it? Joe Hendry got summoned because somebody said, say his name or whatever. So he shows up, and I think he ripped Dango's shirt off, and we saw that his chest had been clawed and that chest hair was missing, because remember the big thing was that Santino had hair in his hand, and Fandango was quick to grab it out and start the investigation. So I guess that's where that makes sense. It was his chest hair that got ripped out in the struggle. So I guess we learned that it's Fandango, sort of Dirty Dango, as the perpetrator here. But it's just a weak comedy angle, and I don't care. I don't care about Dirty Dango or Morella. So Impact tries to do comedy and light stuff, and I find it's a miss almost always for me, especially when they really lean into it with like Wrestle House, and what was the other one I hated so much?
Swingers thing?
Oh, Swingers Palace, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Although you enjoyed when those were on, because I would get angry.
Wrestle House is my favorite time ever.
And then final high spot, a good 6-man tag main event, kind of thrown together. It's the 6 participants in the upcoming number 1 contenders match at Under Siege. So they're thrown into teams of 3. Turned out to be pretty entertaining. So you had Kazarian, Moose, and Eddie Edwards taking on Yuya Uemura, Jonathan Gresham, and Alex Shelley. And so part of it is Eddie Edwards and Kaz are having issues as teammates throughout this. There's people tagging each other in when they don't really want to be, sort of thing. And then eventually it comes to a head as Kaz basically costs his team the win. He takes out Edwards with the clothesline after they sort of inadvertently run into each other. That leads into the finish where Alex Shelley hits the shell shock to Eddie Edwards to pick up the win. Again, this got quite a bit of time. Everybody got a chance to showcase themselves. Maybe didn't notice Gresham as much as some other people. Uemura looked really, really fast, as he usually does. And again, like one of these guys is going to be the number 1 contender after Under Siege, and I think that
Alex Shelley.
I think it's further evidence of what I've been saying, right? That Impact is hurting for credible contenders at the top of the card.
Other than Alex Shelley.
Are any of these guys believable? They have good wrestlers. I'm not saying they don't, but they just haven't built anyone or told any stories that make any of these guys feel important to me, right? So I don't know. I think there's not much doubt Macklin retains against whichever one of these 6 it is.
Alex Shelley.
And then I'm afraid it's just going to be Magnus, whatever his name is, Aldis. And that I don't see anybody else.
Nick Magnus.
Anybody else high profile enough. So I'm a bit nervous because I'm not a big Aldis guy. But anyways, overall, a good episode of Impact. The in-ring stuff was way better top to bottom than usual. I quite enjoyed it. Did you get that leave SmackDown? Did you get anything from SmackDown?
Yeah, a little.
I even started watching Rampage last night at about 1 o'clock. Fell asleep, though. The opener was...
I fell asleep first, loser.
I can't remember who the opener was. I started it and then fell asleep. It was a multi-person match. Anyways.
Blackpool Best Amigos.
Oh, it was. Yes, it was that.
Nailed it.
Yep.
Highspot, Pretty Deadly won against the Brutes. Their debut went nicely. So
good.
Good.
Do you know if there's any shenanigans or anything involved? Did they have to cheat? Probably.
Kinda. I don't know. It wasn't like super cheating. I think it was like because like they got Butch in the ring or whatever when he wasn't legal, and then they used that as a distraction, hit spilt milk, and then It wasn't like cheating.
Right.
I don't know. Then Restholds Raquel is apparently back to teaming with Shotzi now. Liv is injured, so that's lame.
Yeah, that's not great. You're not a big Shotzi fan. Neither am I, to be honest.
Another Resthold was Boogs and LA Knight lost to Street Profits, and LA Knight turned on Boogs.
I was going to say I heard that tag team's done, which is good.
I forgot how that even came to be, but it was just pointless, so I'm hoping there's a brighter future for LA Knight. And the more and more he gets done dirty, I'm getting behind him.
I don't understand. He's a perfect main roster guy for them to push. Like, I don't like.
He's not my favorite, but I do. He's entertaining, and then he's built a
main roster talent in the lab to have like maybe not face of the company, but like a upper mid card or occasional main event heel. Like he's it. I feel like right.
Yeah.
I don't know what their problem is with him, but
yeah,
maybe because he's not one of their guys, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
He's been elsewhere for too long. Maybe I don't know.
Like he's just. I don't know. If any NXT guy's gonna get up there, he should be one of them.
I agree.
Just for them alone.
And he's not an amazing in-ring performer, but that's not the point, right? He's good enough for main roster for sure. Yeah. So I don't know.
And then the high spot was the Bloodline stuff from SmackDown. Angry Roman at the Usos was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was really nice. There was a couple little bits that were really good.
Yeah, Roman's good actor now, man.
Yeah, there was
and Jay is great too.
There was Roman and Solo were face to face with Owens and Zayn, and the Usos attacked them, but then Roman was all angry because that wasn't the plan.
Yeah.
And he didn't want them out there, and then he yelled at them in the locker room, and it was really good.
And Solo's done his job really well too, right?
Yeah, like Roman bumped into Solo when he was angrily leaving. That was a bit of a moment, which I don't know. That was interesting too, I guess.
Nice. Sounds good.
That was good.
Anything else?
No.
And you said there is no updates in wrestling figures
Not
these
really.
days? Oh, I sent you pictures of, where was I? A random Walmart. There's nothing exciting there.
Not much.
It was Nash and Carter and something else. Nothing too exciting. But anyways, I guess that's going to bring us to the end of episode 148, coming in just under that 2-hour mark that we like so much. So appreciate you taking any time to hang out with us and listen to us talk about wrestling. We will be back next week with 149 on Saturday, again previewing what 3 things? Tell me.
Battleground, Blood Money, and Double or Nothing.
Yeah, so we'll have lots of previews for that. We'll talk about those shows coming up and do all the other stuff we usually do. So probably a bit of a beefier episode next week. So we hope to see you all back for that one. And until then, everybody, take care.